Chapter 1239. Jiang Chen knew that the Supreme Heavenly Palace was very powerful, but he never thought that they would be this powerful. There were actually 10 extraordinaires in one force, or even more. If such a force really wanted to fight to the death with someone, how many people could stop them? At this moment, Jiang Chen understood why Hong Yun was so arrogant previously. It was because the Supreme Heavenly Palace's strength was indeed not to be underestimated. Mu Yud, then the Heavenly Court you mentioned, can they really fight against the Supreme Heavenly Palace? Jiang Chen asked. They should be able to. After all, since ancient times, no force that dared to use the name of the Heavenly Court was weak. Mu Yud said in a low voice. Also, as I said before, the Heavenly Court and the ancient Heavenly Court might have a certain relationship. So you mean that even if I let the Supreme Heavenly Palace take action, they won't be able to help Nian Chang'e? Jiang Chen asked. When Mu Yud heard this, he couldn't help but sneer. The Supreme Heavenly Palace has taken a fancy to you, not Nian Chang'e. It's true that the Supreme Heavenly Palace will protect you, but they won't protect Nian Chang'e for you. Moreover, it's the Heavenly Court that wants to attack Nian Chang'e now. The Supreme Heavenly Palace will probably feel the pressure. Jiang Chen naturally understood this. He couldn't help but sigh, feeling helpless. If even the Supreme Heavenly Palace wasn't willing to fight against the Heavenly Court, then who else in this world could help Nian Chang'e? Previously, Nian Chang'e had brought his subordinates to the Southern Star region of the Great Thousand World. They had fought all the way and finally occupied a place. Their forces were expanding. If they were destroyed because of the Heavenly Court, Nian Chang'e wouldn't be able to rest in peace. He's also fighting for the 6 realms and the ancestral realm. Are we just going to sit back and do nothing? Jiang Chen said in a low voice. This matter must be taken care of. The evil race will definitely help Nian Chang'e. I don't know what agreement he made with the evil race, but the evil race is supporting him now. Otherwise, do you think Nian Chang'e could really cause such a huge commotion in the Southern Star region? Mu Yud said. However, everyone knew that it was still difficult for Nian Chang'e to fight against the Heavenly Court with the support of the evil race. Now he had to think of a way. Of course, there was a ready-made solution, and that was to have Nian Chang'e withdraw from the Southern Star region and give up everything she had now. But would Nian Chang'e be willing to do that? According to Nian Chang'e's character, she would never leave. Mu Yud, you have recovered some of your memories. You should be able to help Nian Chang'e, right? Jiang Chen asked. Mu Yud did not try to hide the truth. He nodded and said, the ancient Heavenly Court and the ancient underworld did not make an appearance. But now the Heavenly Court has appeared. If I think about it carefully, there's probably only one faction that dares to oppose the Heavenly Court. You mean the Netherworld? Jiang Chen immediately thought of this faction that said the true underworld should be located in the Netherworld, and that underworld shouldn't be the ancient underworld. Now, in the Greater Thousand Realms, can I contact the underworld? Even if I did, would they be willing to help me? The 3 mountains and 5 seas are related to the ancient underworld. To put it bluntly, the 3 mountains and 5 seas are now the underworld. Their foundation and strength should be able to fight against the Heavenly Court. Mu Yud said. Jiang Chen rolled his eyes. He didn't believe her at all. Jiang Chen had seen the foundation of the 3 mountains and 5 seas. When he was in the 6 realms, the 3 mountains and 5 seas had made a move, but there was not a single extraordinary. With this foundation, how could they fight against the Heavenly Court of the Greater Thousand Realms? What a joke! Any extraordinary from the Heavenly Court could probably wipe out the 3 mountains and 5 seas. I know what you're thinking. Mu Yud said, actually, the foundation of the 3 mountains and 5 seas is not something you can imagine. Their true foundation is not in the 6 realms, but in the Greater Thousand Realms. The 3 mountains and 5 seas have always called themselves the underworld. Do you think they would dare to call themselves the underworld without any foundation? Jiang Chen was stunned. He knew that Mu Yud would not lie to him. However, even if it was true, so what? He did not even know where the 3 mountains and 5 seas were. Even if he found the 3 mountains and 5 seas, they might not help him. As long as we can find the 3 mountains and 5 seas, As long as we tell them that the heavenly court has reappeared, they will definitely help us. Muyuda said, "They are our mortal enemies, a kind of destiny. But now, we can't find the 3 mountains and 5 seas." Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. "I know where they are." Suddenly, Long Dade opened his mouth and said sneakily, "At this critical moment, you still have to rely on me. Hurry up. Stop wasting time." Jiang Chun slapped Long Dade's head and said angrily, "Why are you still so playful at a time like this? Be gentle. Your physical body is stronger than my dragon tribe. Your slap is making me dizzy." Long Dade rubbed his eyes. He was about to cry from the pain from Jiang Chun's slap. He could not imagine how Jiang Chun had cultivated his physical body. How could it be so powerful? "I heard it from an old dragon in my tribe. After the 3 mountains and 5 seas came out from the 6 realms, they did not go to the ancestral realm. Instead, they are in the ancestral land of the dragon tribe." Long Dade said, "What? The 3 mountains and 5 seas are in the ancestral land of the dragon tribe? That's impossible," Jiang Chun exclaimed in surprise. "Wasn't it ridiculous? The 3 mountains and 5 seas had moved all their assets. Logically speaking, after they entered the greater world, even if they did not go to the ancestral realm, they would not go to the territories of other forces. After all, the living beings of the greater world were hostile to the living beings of the 6 realms and the ancestral realm. At first, I did not believe it, but I have seen them," Long Dade said, "and the dragon tribe seems to have reached some kind of agreement with the 3 mountains and 5 seas. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go to the ancestral land of the dragon tribe," Jiang Chun said hurriedly. "Of course, that's not a problem. But after you go to the ancestral land, it's not certain if the 3 mountains and 5 seas will be willing to see you." Long Dade laughed bitterly. "I've only seen them once. They're either in closed-door cultivation or doing something strange all day long. I rarely see anyone else. This time, we must see them no matter what," Jiang Chun said in a low voice. "You are the ancestral dragon. Now that the dragon tribe is related to the 3 mountains and 5 seas, if you insist on seeing them, they will definitely give you face." "Not necessarily." Long Dade shook his head and said with a frown, "I heard from an old dragon that the people of the 3 mountains and 5 seas are very busy. They seem to be building a reincarnation path for the dragon race." "Stop joking. The reincarnation road is formed by the great Tao. It is not something that can be built by living beings," Muyuda said angrily. Naturally, he did not believe it. However, suddenly, Muyuda's expression changed drastically. He asked hurriedly, "The 3 mountains and 5 seas are building the reincarnation road in the ancestral land of the dragon tribe." Chapter 1240. The reincarnation road was a formless road formed by the laws and rules of heaven and earth. This road was discovered by the ancient underworld and controlled by them. It controlled the reincarnation of all living beings. This was how the ancient underworld got its name. However, even the ancient underworld didn't have the ability to create a reincarnation road. This was because all living beings, even extraordinaries, couldn't understand the true meaning and laws of reincarnation. However, Miyuta didn't think so. This was because he had excavated many ancient tombs and knew some things about the reincarnation road. Perhaps a long time ago, the reincarnation road in heaven and earth was also created by them. Now, the 3 mountains and 5 seas most likely knew something about the reincarnation road. Hence, they wanted to borrow the power of heaven and earth in the ancestral land of the dragon race to create another reincarnation road. Once this reincarnation road was created, the 3 mountains and 5 seas could control the reincarnation of all living beings. When that happened, the 3 mountains and 5 seas would unify the world. If the 3 mountains and 5 seas really create a reincarnation road, the consequences... Muyuda's heart turned cold. His back was drenched in cold sweat. He knew better than anyone else why the ancient hell had been destroyed in the first place. It was because all living beings in the world didn't like to be controlled by others. They didn't like to be controlled by others. Because of this, almost all of the cultivators in the world had fought against the ancient underworld until the ancient underworld vanished. Now, if the 3 mountains and 5 seas really created a reincarnation road, they could unify the world in a short time. However, as time passed, the 3 mountains and 5 seas would follow the path of the ancient underworld. What made Muyuda's heart turn cold was that he knew how extraordinary the ancestral land of the dragon race was. It was said that the ancestral land of the dragon race, the phoenix race, and the vermilion bird race were all built on the real reincarnation road. The 3 mountains and 5 seas wanted to use the reincarnation road in the ancestral land to create a reincarnation road that belonged to them. Furthermore, Muyuda knew that the 3 mountains and 5 seas had a high chance of succeeding. Damn it, if someone controlled the reincarnation road, would they still dare to die? Even if they died, they might not be able to reincarnate. Muyuda was silent. He was thinking about many things. Although in today's world, not many people could reincarnate, and if they died, they died. However, what if he could be reincarnated and happen to enter the samsara road of the 3 mountains and 5 seas? At that time, while he was still on the way to reincarnate, he would be killed in the process of reincarnation. I have to make the 3 mountains and 5 seas fight the heavenly court, Muyuda thought to himself. Only when the 3 mountains and 5 seas fought with the heavenly court would they be able to weaken the 3 mountains and 5 seas' strength and delay the construction of the road of reincarnation. Of course, with Muyuda's personality, he naturally hoped that both the 3 mountains and 5 seas and the heavenly court would suffer, or even be destroyed. However, he knew very well that neither the heavenly court nor the 3 mountains and 5 seas would be able to destroy each other even if they were to fight. The 3 mountains and 5 seas foundation is too deep. They're truly related to the ancient underworld, Muyud said softly. At this moment, Jiang Chun and the others had no idea what Muyud was thinking. Long Dade shook his head and said, "Shall I bring you to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan first?" "Sure, let's go take a look first." Jiang Chun nodded. Then the crowd made some preparations, while Jiang Chun went to look for Hong Yun. "I'm going to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan. This journey, I'm afraid it'll be a little dangerous," Jiang Chun said directly. Hong Yun frowned and asked, "Why are you going to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan? Moreover, you're a human. The Dragon Clan won't let you enter their ancestral grounds." "With Long Day bringing me, I should be able to enter," Jiang Chun said. "After going to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan, we'll go to the Great Thousand Mine. Anyway, we have the right to enter now. It doesn't matter when we go." "You haven't answered my question. Why are you going to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan?" Hong Yin asked again. "I'm looking for a force that can contend with the heavenly court," Jiang Chun said truthfully. As soon as these words came out, Hong Yun's face instantly darkened. He thought that Jiang Chun was going to start a war with the heavenly court. "My supreme heavenly palace can also contend with the heavenly court. Why are you looking for other forces?" Hong Yun said angrily. "It's not me." Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. "It's the ancestor of the Chong and clan." Hong Yun was stunned for a moment. Only then did he remember that Jiang Chun had a good relationship with the Chong and clan. However, the Supreme Heavenly Palace could help Jiang Chun, but they would not help Nyin Changa. "Then you can go." Hong Yun was not pretentious and said directly, "If it's your own matter, the Supreme Heavenly Palace can help you. But this matter, so I'm going to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan, and can you escort us?" Jiang Chun asked. One had to know that the current Jiang Chun was most likely famous in the vast thousand world after the battle at the Star Domain Academy. Now, many people wanted to kill him in the cradle. And this time, leaving Heavenly Palace, on the way to the ancestral grounds of the Dragon Clan, someone would definitely make a move. Or perhaps, those people who wanted him dead were already squatting near Heavenly Palace, waiting for him to go out. Moreover, this time, Jiang Chun was together with 3 great virtues, and these 3 great virtues were all at the ancestral level. How could the forces of the races that had enmity with the Dragon Clan Phoenix Clan, and Vermilion Bird Clan let go of such a good opportunity. This time, once they went out, the road ahead was extremely dangerous. I can escort you, but I feel that I'm afraid that it's not enough for me to go alone this time. Hongyan knew what Jiangchen was worried about and could not help but ask, won't the extraordinaires of the Dragon Clan, Phoenix Clan, and Vermilion Bird Clan come to fetch the three great virtues back? They will definitely come, but I'm worried that there are more people who want to kill us than there are people who want to protect us. Jiang Chun said in a low voice. The various ancestors of the evil races, the three extraordinaires of the Demon Clan, plus me, with our lineup, I'm afraid no one will dare to kill you, right? Han Yin muttered. Han Yin was very strong and also very confident. He felt that if these people were to escort Jiang Chun and the rest, then in this world probably no one would dare to kill Jiang Chun and the rest in front of them. However, it was better to be careful in everything. Get ready, I'll send you guys over. Directly traverse the void. You can reach outside the Dragon Clan's ancestral land in a dozen breaths of time, Hong Yun said. Buzz! However, just as he finished speaking, he saw the entire heavenly garden was enveloped by a layer of light screen. Enchantment barrier? Hong Yun's eyes focused, looking at the great Tao laws contained in the light screen, his expression incomparably gloomy, because the person who set up this enchantment barrier was definitely extraordinaire. And at this time, there was only one possibility to set up a barrier in Heavenly Garden. Someone wanted to seal off Heavenly Garden and strangle Jiang Chun and the three great virtues. You see, we haven't even left yet, and someone can't hold it in anymore, Jiang Chun said with a wry smile. Then his expression changed drastically, and he said, this enchantment has isolated the entire Heavenly Garden from the outside world. Have the extraordinaires of the three great demon clans arrived? Have the few ancestors of the evil races arrived? Chapter 1241. Jiang Chun did not expect that the person who wanted to kill him would make a move in Tongtian Gardens. This was too unexpected. This was especially true of the enchantment that enveloped Heavenly Garden. Its methods were extremely advanced, isolating the entire Heavenly Garden from the outside world. Since they dared to come to Tongtian Gardens to kill, it means that the other party is very strong, and there must be more than one of them, Jiang Chun said in a low voice. He could not help but look at Han Yun and ask, how many extraordinaires are there in Tongtian Gardens? 2. Hong Yun's expression was also very serious. He said, one is the dean here, and the other is me. Only 2. Jiang Chun was shocked. If there were only 2 extraordinaires, he and the 3 Badana would most likely be in trouble today. At that moment, Jiang Chun hurriedly rushed to the back of the mountain. When he saw the 3 Badana and Mu Yud, his face darkened. That was because there were no extraordinaires around them. This meant that the extraordinaires of the 3 major demon tribes and the evil race did not enter Tongtian Gardens. Boss, I feel that something is wrong. I can't contact the extraordinaires in the tribe. Long Dade's expression was very ugly, and there was a hint of nervousness in his eyes. Huang Dade and Niao Dade were the same. Their faces were a little pale. They were frightened. One had to know that since the establishment of Tongtian Gardens, no one had dared to kill in Tongtian Gardens. Moreover, the target this time was not an ordinary person. Other than Jiang Chun, the 3 Badana's identity was enough to make many living beings wary. Since the other party dared to come, it meant that the other party's strength and background were not inferior to the 3 major demon tribes. You're all here. Suddenly, an icy cold voice that was filled with killing intent resounded here. Before Jiang Chun and the others could react, a pitch-black palm appeared out of thin air. It was as if it was going to turn the world upside down, and the sun and moon in the palm were collapsing. Under the palm, Jiang Chun and the others were locked in place. It was difficult for them to even move a finger. It's over. An extraordinaire. My glory hasn't even begun. Am I going to die just like that? The 3 Badana felt a chill run down their spines. Against a supernatural being, they didn't even have a chance to defend themselves. How dare you? However, before the palm could land, The headmaster of the sky-reaching garden had already appeared. He punched out with a mighty fist, which pierced through the void and obliterated the palm print. However, in the next moment, something that caused everyone's hearts to turn cold happened. The headmaster of Tong Tian Court was extremely powerful, but at this moment, a bronze spear shot out and pierced through his chest, nailing him in the void and rendering him unable to move at all. With just a single move and a single spear, he had suppressed the principle of Heavenspan Garden. We're really doomed this time. Jiang Chen's heart sank too. He had never imagined that the other party's strength would actually be so strong. Everyone, Heavenly Garden is a subsidiary academy of my Supreme Heavenly Palace. Aren't you afraid of angering my Supreme Heavenly Palace by doing this? Right at this moment, Hongyan also came, standing in front of Jiang Chun and the rest to protect them. As his eyes opened and closed, the laws of the great Tao surged from the depths of his eyes, and his entire person emitted an extremely terrifying aura. He was like a god of war, his eyes fearless as he stood there proudly. He was also like a king, high and mighty. No matter how special one's identity was, he would always be looking down on the world. However, Jiang Chun could clearly see that Hongyan's back was already dripping with cold sweat. This made Jiang Chun even more alarmed. He knew Hongyan's strength. This supernatural being from the Supreme Heavenly Palace was completely different from ordinary supernatural beings. He was extremely powerful. However, even someone as powerful as Hongyan was breaking out in cold sweat at this moment. From this, it could be seen how powerful the enemy he was facing this time was. The one I'm going to kill is a disciple of your Supreme Heavenly Palace. At this moment, a ball of black fog exploded, and a living being wearing a cloak appeared in front of everyone. His entire body was shrouded in black fog, and he looked extremely mysterious. Under the cloak, his eyes flickered with a scarlet light, like a blood moon, very intimidating. The three great demon clans have found an ancestral level. If we allow them to grow, won't our demon clans be completely suppressed by the three great demon clans in the future? Do you think we'll let them grow? Right at this moment, another living being appeared. His demonic aura overflowed into the sky like an upside-down tide, rising from his body. His purpose for coming was very clear, and he did not hide his identity as a demon. Perhaps in his eyes, no matter who came today, the three great virtues had to die. Hongyan, if you know what's good for you, leave now. If you don't leave, you'll also die here. Supreme Heavenly Palace is strong, but you have to know that you're alone here right now. These two people spoke one after another, clearly unwilling to fight with Hongyan. They might know Hongyan's strength. Although they did not fear him, they did not want to fight Hongyan to the death. I don't care about the others, but Jiang Chun is a disciple of Supreme Heavenly Palace. I must protect him, Hongyan said solemnly. The moment these words came out, the faces of the three great virtues instantly turned pale. They felt that they had been abandoned. However, thinking about it carefully, it made sense. Facing two extremely powerful extraordinaries, it was already not bad if Hongyan could protect Jiang Chun alone. He might not even be able to protect him. Under such circumstances, Hongyan did not need to protect the three great virtues anymore. Then I'll kill the three ancestral levels first, and then I'll have a good fight with you. Hongyan, no one can think of leaving alive today. At this moment, those two people suddenly attacked. Their target was very clear, and they went straight for the three great virtues. Help them, Jiang Chun exclaimed. He could not watch the three great virtues die in front of him. At the same time, the three great virtues were also in despair as they looked at Jiang Chun. At this moment, the only hope in their hearts was Jiang Chun. I can't help. I can't even protect myself. Hongyan's face was ashen as he said, the old patriarch of the demon-suppressing race and the patriarch of the 1,000-mile Skylark race. These two people's cultivation are not below mine. In fact, they're even stronger than me. After saying that, a trace of coldness flashed across Hongyan's eyes. He gave a push with his big hand and tore a small opening in the ward. Then he pushed Jiang Chun out. By the time he wanted to push the three great virtues out, the old patriarch of the demon-suppressing race and the patriarch of the thousand-mile skylark race had already rushed over. Hong Yun, he can't run away. Do you think there's only the two of us here? The old patriarch of the demon-suppressing race had a mocking look on his face, as he even took off his cloak in front of Hong Yun. He did not mind exposing his identity at this moment. Kill them first. The patriarch of the thousand-mile skylark race also revealed his true appearance. With a palm strike, it was like a flaming wing that went straight for the three great virtues. All of you go. At this moment, Muyuda's expression turned serious. An ancient war flag tore open the void. Then he kicked the three great virtues 3 times and kicked them into the void. However, because of this, Muyuda was hit by the palm strike and his entire body exploded. Not a single piece of him was left behind. Only the ancient war flag was left alone in the void, stained with blood. Chapter 1242. Muyuda is dead? At that moment, the three virtuous beings' faces turned pale. Their eyes were filled with shock and anger. They knew that they had something to do with Muyuda's death. If it weren't for Muyuda, the three of them would be dead. If we leave here alive today, we'll definitely destroy all of you. We'll take revenge on you. The three virtuous beings roared. Their eyes were bloodshot, and their auras were so violent that they almost went berserk. At the same time, Jiang Chun, who had been sent out of the barrier by Hong Yun, also saw what happened. He stood rooted to the ground and didn't say a word. After all, he never thought that Muyuda would die like this. This was a huge blow to him. After a few seconds, Jiang Chun came back to his senses. However, his eyes were empty as if he had lost his soul. Buzz! At the same time, a terrifying aura emerged from his body. It was a murderous aura. However, this murderous aura was different from before. This murderous aura carried traces of chaotic aura and an indescribable aura. Kill. In the next moment, Jiang Chun spoke in a low voice. He was emotionless. He took a step forward. Although he didn't break the barrier, he entered Tong Tian Garden naturally. This barrier was ineffective against him. Huh, you've become murderous? So what? After all, your cultivation is only... The patriarch of the demon-suppressing tribe and the patriarch of the thousand-mile skylark looked at him with disdain. In their eyes, Jiang Chun was still an ant after all. However, before they could finish their words, an extremely terrifying and violent aura erupted. Jiang Chun charged forward. As he charged forward, his aura was soaring. In an instant, his cultivation had soared from the divine king to the extraordinary. The next moment, he struck out with his palm. The murderous aura in his palm surged, and traces of chaotic aura turned into clouds that floated in his palm. The entire void trembled under his palm. The Tao had turned into a galaxy that swam in his palm. Boom! In an instant, a loud explosion was heard. Jiang Chen's palm collided with the fist of the demon-suppressing ancestor. The fist and palm collided, and it was like a thunderclap had exploded, causing the surrounding space to collapse. Hiss! The expression of the old patriarch of the demon-suppressing race changed drastically. He sucked in a breath of cold air, and his body kept retreating. At the same time, his palm shattered, and his entire arm disappeared. Fist and palm collided, and he was at a disadvantage. Be careful. Something's wrong. The old ancestor of the thousand-mile Skylark clan had a dignified expression. He looked at Jiang Chen's empty eyes and seemed to have thought of something. Did he lose his mind after becoming an evil spirit? The old patriarch of the devil-suppressing race was puzzled. He thought to himself, how could the strength of this evil spirit be so terrifying? Just a godly king who had become a fiend could raise his cultivation to that of a transcendent. This was impossible. His eyes aren't empty. It's an eye technique. The ancestor of the thousand-mile Skylark clan said in a deep voice. Someone is controlling him. Now it's 2 against 2. At this moment, a smile appeared at the corner of Hong Yun's mouth. He even took a step forward and came to Jiang Chen's side. He said respectfully, "Greetings, third ancestor. The world has changed. I didn't expect that even the name of our supreme heavenly palace isn't enough. Jiang Chun said softly. There seemed to be a dead sea hidden in his empty eyes. No. To be precise, the current Jiang Chun was not the real Jiang Chun. Instead, he was being controlled by the third ancestor of supreme heavenly palace using an eye technique. It could be said that the current Jiang Chun was the third ancestor of supreme heavenly palace. He had used a secret technique and injected his own power into Jiang Chen's body. It was as if he had personally descended. It's rumored that there are a total of 3 ancestors in supreme heavenly palace. You must be the third ancestor, right? I've long heard of your great name. But, so what? Whether you're the first ancestor of supreme heavenly palace, the second ancestor, or even the third ancestor, in the end, we're all transcendents. Although the patriarchs of the demon-suppressing race and thousand-mile skylark looked serious, there was no fear in their eyes. Just as they had said, no matter how high one's seniority was or how long one had lived, one's cultivation level was the same. Moreover, the two of them were not the only ones here today. What's the big deal about Supreme Heavenly Palace? Once the Heavenly Court appears, who in this world dares to go against us? Suddenly, a white fog that seemed like divine energy appeared. A middle-aged man stood in the white fog. He was dressed in a white robe, and his hair fluttered in the wind. He gave off the feeling of a divine being. And from his words, one could tell that this person was from the Heavenly Court. At this moment, the third ancestor and Hong Yun were both shocked. They had not expected that there would be someone from the Heavenly Court among the people who had come to kill Jiang Chun and the 3 great virtuous saints. This was going to be very troublesome. What Heavenly Court? If the ancient netherworld doesn't appear, what is a mere Heavenly Court? All of a sudden, the lonely ancient war flag that was stuck in the void swayed. Then, Muyid walked out of the ancient war flag. He twisted his neck, and his expression was very ugly. He said in a low voice, I knew that the Heavenly Court would make a move. You're not dead? Impossible. With your cultivation level, how could you survive in our hands? Thousand-Mile Skylark and the demon-suppressing patriarch were shocked. One had to know that Mu Yud's cultivation level was not high. Previously, he had exploded in front of them, and there was not even a trace of powder left. But now, he had appeared in perfect condition. If I didn't die in front of you, how could the Heavenly Court's brat appear? Mu Yud said softly. He waved his hand, and the ancient war flag landed in his hand. Then, he shook it violently. Ancient war flag? At this moment, the man from the Heavenly Court was shocked. He seemed to be very afraid of the ancient netherworld and the ancient netherworld. He disappeared immediately, and he did not even have the courage to fight. After all, it's just the Heavenly Court, not the real ancient Heavenly Court, Muyid said disdainfully. Then, he looked outside the barrier and saw the 3 virtuous beings in the void. He said mockingly, the 3 of you owe me a life. F***CK. Muyid, you're too much. I thought you were really dead. Trap, you're such a cunning Taoist. The 3 virtuous beings were furious. Just now, their eyes were red, and they were about to cry. In the end, after being sad for so long, they realized that it was all Mu Yud's trap. I'm not going to accompany you anymore. I'm going to find the brat from the Heavenly Court to ask him something, Mu Yud said softly. Then, he used the ancient war flag to tear open the void and chased after the man from the Heavenly Court. At the same time, Hong Yun and the 3rd Grand Patriarch of the Supreme Heavenly Palace had already made their move. The 2 of them were like ferocious tigers, and they charged forward without any fear of the demon-suppressing Patriarch and the Thousand-Mile Skylark's Patriarch. So what if the one from the Heavenly Court has left? Today, no one can leave, the Grand Patriarch of the Thousand-Mile Skylark said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, a few bright suns suddenly rose outside the barrier. Chapter 1243. A few sun-like objects rose up. Upon closer inspection, they were extraordinaries. They were all wearing veils or shrouded in fog, not wanting others to know their true identities. At this moment, these people surrounded Hong Yun and the third ancestor. Each of them had a terrifying aura, as if they could overturn the world and break the heavens with a raise of their hands. Looks like you're prepared. The third ancestor's face was gloomy, but there was no fear in his eyes. He glanced at Hong Yun and said softly, "You go first. Leave this place to me." Logically speaking, it was impossible for Hong Yun to let the third ancestor stay here alone. After all, the other party had too many people, and all of them were extraordinaries. Leaving the third ancestor here alone was most likely a disaster. However, to everyone's surprise, Hong Yun's expression froze when he heard this. Then, without saying a word, he left directly. You know that you're going to die, so you let Hong Yun go first? The Supreme Heavenly Palace is nothing more than this. When disaster strikes, everyone flies away. Many people mocked him contemptuously. There were even people who pointed at the third ancestor's glabella. At this moment, there was nothing left to say. At this point, no one would back down. I could do it alone. The third ancestor's eyes shone brightly. Then he waved his hand and extracted the chaotic aura from Jiang Chen's body. Roar! The chaotic aura had a spirit. At this moment, it was controlled by the third ancestor, and it actually let out angry roars. The power of chaos. Today is a good time to try it. The third ancestor chuckled. His hands formed seals, and the chaotic aura turned into green lotus flowers that bloomed in the air. Then, without waiting for these people to react, the green lotus flowers exploded, and the place instantly turned into a sea of chaos. Since ancient times, not many people dared to touch the power of chaos. After all, it was rumored that chaos was accompanied by strangeness and ominous. At this moment, the expressions of these extraordinaries changed drastically. They retreated one after another, not wanting to be contaminated by the chaotic aura. However, there was a barrier here. If they wanted to leave, they had to tear the void and break through the barrier. This would take some time. Third ancestor, are you crazy? You dare to use the chaotic aura? Since ancient times, all living beings related to the chaos have never had a good ending. Many people rebuked him angrily, but no one dared to go against him. So what if it's just primal chaos chi? You don't dare to touch it because you can't control it. But I can. The third grand ancestor's eyes were filled with radiance. Then he pressed down with his palm. The sea of chaos seemed to have turned upside down, drowning the few extraordinaires. Beneath the waves, some superhumans cried out in surprise. There was even blood floating in the waves. This caused the others to be extremely shocked. With just a single palm, someone was injured. After all, they were both supernatural beings, so the difference in strength shouldn't be so great. As I said, I alone am enough to deal with all of you. The third great ancestor said softly, with a hint of arrogance in his eyes. Everyone in the Supreme Heavenly Palace is a supreme being, let alone me, the third great ancestor. All of you are too weak. Boom! As his voice fell, the third grand ancestor attacked again. The primal chaos tide reversed, drowning everyone. Retreat! This guy is not to be trifled with. If it weren't for your chaotic chi, we would have been able to destroy you. In just a few breaths' time, a few people retreated. Not only were they wary of the third great ancestor's strength, but they were also wary of the chaotic chi. And with the first person retreating, there was a second. After a few breaths' time, the barrier that enveloped Heavenly Gardens collapsed, and the group of extraordinaires fled. However, there were still two people who didn't leave. Thousand Mile Skylark Clan, Demon Suppressing Clan. You two clans. Just wait for the wrath of my Supreme Heavenly Palace to descend upon you. The third great ancestor said coldly. Do you think that you can kill me today? What a pity. Actually, you shouldn't have been so careless and exposed your identities. But now, it's too late for regrets. After hearing the third great ancestor's words, the demon-suppressing race and Thousand Mile Skylark race's patriarchs naturally understood this logic. They knew very well that after today, the demon-suppressing race and thousand-mile Skylark race would completely fall out with the supreme heavenly palace. Moreover, the three demon races wouldn't let them off either. They didn't leave now because they wanted to salvage the situation. Otherwise, once the three demon races and the supreme heavenly palace attacked them together, even if the demon-suppressing race and thousand-mile Skylark race joined forces, they wouldn't be able to stop them and would be annihilated. The heavenly court was the one who instigated this. We were also forced. We were careless for a moment. Otherwise, we wouldn't have dared to attack the supreme heavenly palace and the three demon races. The two of them explained, hoping that the third great ancestor would let them off. In this world, not everything can be resolved with just explanations, the third great ancestor said coldly. Since you've done it, you should pay the price. With that, the third great ancestor waved his hand and said, "You guys can leave. The supreme heavenly palace will come and visit you soon." Third great ancestor, is there no way to redeem this matter? The thousand-mile Skylark race's patriarch said in a low voice, "As long as you're willing to let the thousand-mile Skylark race off, today, I can die here." Third great ancestor, I'll take responsibility for my own actions. I'll use my own life in exchange for the longevity of the demon-suppressing race. The demon-suppressing race's patriarch also said hurriedly. They knew very well that if they didn't resolve this matter today, the demon-suppressing race and thousand-mile Skylark race would be annihilated. If they could use their own lives in exchange for the survival of their race, this was also extremely good for them. However, the third great ancestor shook his head, his eyes still as cold as ever. He didn't say anything and controlled Jiang Qin's physical body to turn around and leave. Third great ancestor, I know where a wisp of his memories and soul is. I can bring you to get it back. Suddenly, the demon-suppressing race's patriarch rushed over and stopped the third great ancestor. At the same time, a map appeared in his hand. There were red dots marked on the map. Upon closer inspection, it was a map of the stars, and in a corner of the map, there was the word soul written on it. The third great ancestor had originally planned to control Jiang Qin's physical body to leave, but he stopped at this moment. He looked at the demon-suppressing race's patriarch with a strange expression and said in a low voice, "You know his identity?" "This, I know a little." The demon-suppressing race's patriarch nodded and said, "He's too special. Many people know his identity, but without that lord's orders, no one dares to attack him. If I didn't know his identity this time, I wouldn't have come to kill him. I only found out that it was him after I arrived here." The demon-suppressing race's patriarch explained, "You also know that that person is currently in a deep sleep?" "Oh, you mean that if that person wakes up, Jiang Qin will definitely die, right?" The third great ancestor's face darkened, and then he snorted coldly and said, "That person is very strong, but you have to know that Jiang Qin is from my supreme heavenly palace." Chapter 1244. Who was that? Many people were guessing. Even the patriarch of the thousand-mile Skylark race was dumbfounded. He didn't know as much as the patriarch of the demon-suppressing race. He had never even heard of that person. He didn't even know that Jiang Qin had another identity. "What are you talking about?" The patriarch of the thousand-mile Skylark race asked anxiously. He wanted to help. If he could, perhaps the supreme heavenly palace would let the thousand-mile Skylark race off. However, the third patriarch and the demon-suppressing race's patriarch ignored him. It was because the fewer people who knew about some things, the better. Moreover, since the patriarch of the thousand-mile Skylark race didn't know about this, it meant that no one had done it with him. This also meant that the patriarch of the thousand-mile Skylark race didn't have the right to know about this. Third patriarch, you can't blame me for this. I came here because I was bewitched by the heavenly court. The demon-suppressing race's patriarch explained, "If I knew his identity from the start, I wouldn't have dared to come. What's the point of saying all this now? Go back. The supreme heavenly palace will settle today's matter with you," the third patriarch said coldly. This matter obviously wouldn't end like this. The patriarchs of the demon-suppressing race and the thousand-mile Skylark race turned pale and panicked. They knew what this meant. The demon-suppressing race and the 1,000-mile Skylark race might disappear completely because of this matter. If the Supreme Heavenly Palace isn't willing to forgive us, then we can only rely on the Heavenly Court. If not for the Heavenly Court instigating today's matter, we wouldn't have fallen to such a state. A dignified extraordinaire of the Heavenly Court was actually scared away by a fat Taoist priest. The Heavenly Court is responsible for this. In the end, the patriarchs of the demon-suppressing race and the 1,000-mile Skylark race left. They didn't return to their own forces, but went to the Heavenly Court. They wanted to ask for an explanation and seek protection at the same time. At this moment, Heavenly Garden quietened down. The barrier disappeared, and everything that was destroyed was instantly restored by the third patriarch's divine ability. At this moment, the third patriarch returned control of the physical body to Jiang Chun, and his consciousness also retreated from Jiang Chun's body. Just like that, Jiang Chun felt like he was in a dream. When he woke up, everything was over. However, Jiang Chun's memory was still stuck at that moment. After waking up, Jiang Chun's eyes were bloodshot. Seeing that there was no one around, his heart turned cold. Muyid? The three great virtues? Jiang Chun roared. He didn't see the three great virtues and thought they were all dead. At this moment, Jiang Chun's aura erupted, and a baleful aura erupted from his body like a gale. His eyes were bloodshot, and his body was filled with killing intent. He was about to go crazy. Everything is over. The four great virtuous beings are not dead. It was at this moment that Hongyan showed up and stopped Jiang Chun. Then he told Jiang Chun everything that had happened here in detail. After Jiang Chun finished listening, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. But then his mind focused, and he realized that something was wrong with this matter. You're saying Muyid has been scheming for a long time? He used me and the three great virtues to lure out the people from the Heavenly Court, Jiang Chun said in a low voice. I think so. Hongyan nodded. Now, he's chasing after the extraordinary from the Heavenly Court. Damn that fatty. How dare he use our lives as bait? Jiang Chun's face was dark. Muyid had gone too far this time. This time, if the third patriarch hadn't intervened, not to mention him and the three great virtues, even Hongyan would have died here. I've told you before to be wary of him, Hongyan said in a low voice. Do you think someone who has connections with the ancient underworld is an ordinary person? Perhaps he's involved in things that are even more complicated than your previous lives. As soon as he said this, Jiang Chun suddenly stared at Hongyan and asked, Have you seen him before? Yes. Hongyan nodded and said, When I got to know you, you were called Heaven Star. And in that lifetime when you were Heaven Star, he appeared by your side. To be honest, I don't believe that he could meet you consecutively for several lives. Hearing this, Jiang Chun frowned and asked, You're saying that I've met Muyid in my previous lives? Of course. In some ancient ruins in the greater world, there are statues of you standing together with him. Hongyan said, I think maybe he knew you from your first life. You'll meet him in every life after that. Every life? Jiang Chun frowned and then shook his head. When I was Tianchen in my previous life, I didn't meet him. Maybe there's a reason, but in this life, you've met him again. Hongyan said in a low voice. Furthermore, you should understand one thing. If Muyuda only has the ancient war flag, he won't be able to fight against an extraordinary. Now, he dares to hunt down an extraordinary from the Heavenly Court. This is enough to prove that Muyud's real cultivation is at least that of an extraordinary. As soon as he said this, Jiang Chun fell silent. He knew that after this incident, he had to find a chance to ask Muyuda about it. If he continued to be so muddle-headed, he might really be tricked to death by Muyud one day. Moreover, he would be tricked to the point of no return. Let's not talk about him. I'm so annoyed by him. Jiang Chun sighed and felt helpless. This was because, according to Hongyan, Muyud's current strength was definitely that of an extraordinary, or even higher. Therefore, even if he met Muyud again in the future, Jiang Chun could not force him to tell the truth. After all, Jiangchen still had a long way to go before he could become an extraordinary person. Boss! Boss! We're coming! Suddenly, the voices of three great deities came from afar. Looking up, the sky in the distance was torn apart. More than a dozen extraordinary from the three major demon clans appeared. It was obvious that the three major demon clans were really angry. Those extraordinary beings who had not appeared for many generations were alarmed, especially an old dragon. All the scales on his body had fallen off, and he was bald. However, the aura he exuded was domineering and definitely above Hong Yun's. There was also a phoenix with withered feathers. White flames burned around its body. Those were the true great Tao flames that could burn everything. Young friend, have you been injured? At this moment, a vermilion bird covered in ice and snow spoke. The surroundings were filled with frost, and even the great Tao laws and order were frozen around him. This was an extremely powerful vermilion bird patriarch. He had forcefully reversed the vermilion bird patriarch's fire attribute and turned it to an ice vermilion bird, who can hurt someone that the supreme heavenly palace wants to protect. Hong Yun was the first to speak. When he looked at the three major demon clans, his eyes were filled with wariness and vigilance. Clearly, Hong Yun did not trust the three major demon clans. Chapter 1245. Zhang Chun was relieved that the three great virtuous beings had brought their extraordinaries to rescue him. At least, they had not abandoned him. However, Zhang Chun was not very interested in the extraordinaries of the three demon clans. It was only because Zhang Chun saw greed in the eyes of the extraordinary humans of the three great monsters. Moreover, this greed was very obvious and not concealed in the slightest. You want something from me? Zhang Chun asked directly and moved closer to Hong Yun. At the same time, the three great virtuous beings looked at their extraordinaries with confusion in their eyes. The relationship between Zhang Chun and the three great virtuous beings was well known. Everyone knew that Zhang Chun was the leader of the three great virtuous beings. In that case, why did the extraordinaries of the three demon clans dare to show their greed towards Zhang Chun? Were they not giving the three ancestral-level cultivators any face? Young friend, you misunderstood. We do want something from you, but we will not use any means. We just want to discuss it with you. The old dragon from the Dragon Clan said, if you don't agree, we will not make things difficult for you. After all, our ancestral-leveled cultivator has a special relationship with you. Yes. We just want to discuss it with you and see what you think, Zhang Chun. Everything is negotiable. Take your time. The people from the other two clans also spoke, but the greed in their eyes was undisguised. In fact, it was getting more and more obvious. This made Zhang Chun very confused. What were the three demon clans doing? How could the three demon clans benefit from Zhang Chun? Just say it, Zhang Chun said softly. As long as it doesn't cross my bottom line, I can agree. The old dragon from the Dragon Clan spoke first and said bluntly, you won the Star Region Academy battle, so you are qualified to enter the Deqian graveyard. You also have the right to invite others in. Oh, you mean you want me to bring the Dragon Clan in? Zhang Chun narrowed his eyes and smiled suddenly. Why, senior, you want to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard? The old dragon immediately shook his head and said with a wry smile, I would like to go in, but the Great Thousand Mine has a special order of laws, and extraordinaries can't go in. Once you enter, you will be obliterated by an indescribable force. What? There's such a power in this world? Zhang Chun was shocked. A power that could directly kill a supernatural being? What kind of mighty power was that? One had to know that as extraordinaires, unless they fought with their lives on the line against cultivators of the same realm, it would be difficult for the great Tao of heaven and earth to suppress them. After all, they had already transcended beyond the great Tao. But now, there was a power in the Great Thousand Graveyard that could wipe out extraordinaries. This was too horrifying. Little friend, our intentions are actually very simple. You just need to bring the ancestor venerables of our three demon clans inside. As for the good stuff inside, we can discuss it after we come out. Don't worry, we will definitely not treat you unfairly. The Vermilion Bird Clan's ancestor said very seriously. At the side, the few extraordinaires of the Phoenix clan nodded in agreement. Obviously, before the three demon clans came here, they had already discussed it, and this matter was actually not a big deal for Jiang Chun. What was so difficult about bringing his subordinates into the Great Thousand Graveyard? Besides, with the three great virtuous beings' character, even if they obtained good stuff in the Great Thousand Graveyard, they would most likely hide it and not bring it back to their clan. At that time, not to mention the benefits, anything obtained in the Great Thousand Graveyard would be equally divided among the four of them. Guys, this is just a small matter for me. I can agree to it, Jiang Chen said softly. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chen's expression suddenly froze. He looked at the three leaders of the three demon clans and asked, "Do you know something? In the Great Thousand Graveyard, is there really an immortal herb?" As soon as he said that, the three demon clans' expressions changed slightly. Then, the old dragon laughed and said, "As expected, we can't hide it from you. There is indeed an immortal herb in the Great Thousand Graveyard. As you can see, the three of us have lived for several eras. Now, even though we are extraordinaires, the blood in our bodies has dried up, and our lifespans are about to come to an end." The ancestor of the Phoenix clan sighed and said, "If we can get the immortal herb, let us live another life and return to our peak state. If we really get the immortal herb, I can give it to you." Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and said, "But if you return to your peak state, you can't attack the living beings of the six realms, and you can't attack the people of the ancestral realm. Can you agree to this?" When the three demon clans heard that, their expressions instantly turned ugly. For the living beings of the Great Thousand World, the ancestral realm was their eternal enemy. Even if they did not attack the people of the ancestral realm, the people of the ancestral realm would attack them. After all, the demon clans had contributed greatly to the destruction of the ancestral realm. Young friend Jiang Chen, we know that you are from the six realms. We can promise you that we won't attack the living beings of the six realms, and we won't attack the people of the ancestral realm. However, if they take the initiative to come to us, they can't blame us, the old dragon said. "Okay, that's good." Jiang Chen smiled and nodded. He said, "Then should we go to the Great Thousand Graveyard first, or the ancestral realm of the Dragon Clan?" As soon as he said that, Long Dade's expression froze, and his eyes were filled with worry. He said, "Let's go to the ancestral realm of the Dragon Clan first and see what the three mountains and five seas think. After all, we can enter the Great Thousand Graveyard at any time." However, Nian Changa's situation is already very troublesome. "That's good. Young friend, come with us to the ancestral realm of the Dragon Clan, and we will treat you warmly," the old dragon said. Jiang Chun did not refuse. After exchanging a glance with Hong Yun, he waved his hand and left with the group of dragons. Hong Yun's eyes shone brightly as he watched Jiang Chun leave. He said softly, "You agreed to the request of the three great demon clans so easily? If you really obtained the elixir of immortality, would you hand it over?" Then, Hong Yun smirked and said, If you really obtained the elixir of immortality, you would probably be in trouble. I'm afraid the elixir of immortality is not what the three great demon clans are after." Suddenly, a white mist appeared beside Hong Yun. An elder stood in the mist. He had a head full of white hair and was in high spirits. The halo of the great Tao circulated around him. This person was the third great ancestor of the Supreme Heavenly Palace, who had helped Jiang Chun previously. His true body had arrived at this moment. Third great ancestor, in the Great Thousand Graveyard. Other than the elixir of immortality, what else can tempt the three great demon clans? Hong Yun asked doubtfully. "There's also a person, a coffin, or a legend," the third great ancestor said softly. Chapter 1246. No one knew what was inside the Great Thousand Mine, because the Great Thousand Mine had always been a forbidden area since ancient times. Even transcendents found it difficult to enter. There were terrifying laws and orders there that could easily kill transcendents. Third great ancestor, what do you think is inside the Great Thousand Mine? Hongyan asked. When the third great ancestor heard this, a hint of fear flashed across his eyes. After taking a few deep breaths, he slowly said, "There is a family there, a family that was once incomparably glorious. However, because of some things, the people of that family died and were buried in the Great Thousand Mine." Hearing this, Hongyun's expression suddenly changed. It was because he thought of a legend that could be said to be peerless and unsurpassable. It was said that at the beginning of the Great Thousand World, when the primordial chaos had just opened, all the living beings in the world gathered and vied for supremacy. Some dominated a region, some crossed star fields, and some established their own dynasties and families. Among them, the most famous was a family that claimed to be the celestial race. This family could be said to be at its most glorious time. At that time, the celestial race had truly unified the entire Great Thousand World. A true unification. What kind of strength and power was this? One had to know that since ancient times, there were not many people who could achieve a great unification in this Great Thousand World. However, such a powerful clan had disappeared in a single day. Later generations found their corpses. Each of their corpses was intact without a trace of injury. Even their souls were intact. However, the strange thing was that they were all dead. Those who found the celestial race corpses casually threw them into an abandoned mine. They thought that the glory of the celestial race would disappear forever. However, who would have thought that in a certain era, this mine would suddenly turn into a forbidden area? Some people said that the celestial race had been resurrected. They occupied the mine and evolved into a world. They did not allow anyone to enter, and the celestial race themselves would not leave the mine either. At that time, there were supreme powerhouses who entered the mine, but the result could be imagined. They never came out. Not even the slightest bit of news, not even a wisp of aura was emitted. In later generations, many people entered the mine to investigate. However, all living beings whose cultivation had reached the transcendent realm were like stones sinking into the sea after entering. Everything was dead silent. Third great ancestor, has the celestial race really revived? Hongyan asked, his expression extremely grave. If the celestial race was really resurrected, then why did they stay in the Great Thousand Mine and not come out? Could it be that he was waiting for an opportunity? I don't know if the Celestials have been resurrected, but something must have gone wrong in the Great Thousand Quarry. Perhaps some kind of ominous substance has invaded that place, the third ancestor said in a low voice. In this world, there were many incomprehensible and uncontrollable forces. As for these powers, they were collectively known as ominous substances. It was even to the extent that in the eyes of many, the energy of primal chaos was called ominous. Forget it, there will be a result in the end. The third great ancestor seemed to know a lot, but he was unwilling to say more. Then he disappeared, leaving behind a confused Hongyun. At the same time, in the ancestral land of the Dragon Clan, Jiangchen was taken there. Then, under Long Dade's guidance, they went to a cave in the ancestral land of the dragons. The dragon race's ancestral land was extremely vast. There were green mountains and beautiful waters everywhere, immortal mists rising. There were even a few rare divine medicines that took root here. The entire ancestral land was filled with divine light, as if it was a fairyland. Here, Jiangchen suddenly took a deep breath. The divine light in the air had actually allowed his cultivation to increase by a little. This made Jiangchen extremely shocked. If he stayed here for a long time, even if he did not deliberately cultivate, his cultivation would continue to increase. Could this be the foundation of the dragon tribe? At this moment, Jiangchen stood in front of the cave, narrowed his eyes, and asked Long Dade beside him. After the people of the 3 mountains and 5 seas left the 6 realms, they came here? They're all in this cave? Yes. Long Dade nodded and said, I don't know what they're doing. Even the dragon tribe won't let us in. This is the ancestral land of the dragon tribe. Could it be that they're really using the power of the dragon tribe's ancestral land to create a reincarnation path? Jiang Chen frowned. If that was the case, then the 3 mountains and 5 seas had to be wary. Hey, is there anyone alive inside? I'm Long Dade, the ancestral dragon of the dragon tribe. I'm here to discuss something with you. At this moment, Long Dade shouted at the top of his lungs. Hurry up and answer me. Don't provoke me. If you provoke me, I'll chase all of you out of the dragon tribe's ancestral land. As soon as he finished speaking, the cave was still silent. It was as if the people of the 3 mountains and 5 seas had ignored Long Dade. This made Long Dade feel very awkward. He pointed at the cave and smiled bitterly. They're always like this. The last few times I came, they ignored me too. I'm Jiang Chen. I've met all of you in the 6 realms before. Today, I'm here to disturb you because I have something to discuss with the 3 mountains and 5 seas, Jiang Chen said. Jiang Chen? Tianchen? Tianqing? At this moment, a few exclamations could be heard from the cave. Obviously, the living beings in the cave could hear the voices outside the cave, but they were too lazy to speak up previously. This made Long Dade feel very embarrassed. No one cared about him, but when Jiang Chen spoke, someone cared about him. Sometimes meeting you really makes things difficult for us. At this moment, a skinny old man walked out, holding a walking stick made of white bones. He walked up to Jiang Chen with an odd look on his face. Jiang Chen understood what the old man meant. He smiled and said, no matter who I was in my previous life, I'm Jiang Chen in this life. That's good too, the old man said softly. Then he took out a box and said, you're here for this? Jiang Chen was dumbfounded when he heard this. He was totally confused. One had to know that his goal this time was to let the 3 mountains and 5 seas deal with the heavenly court so that he could protect Nianchanga. But now what's this? Jiang Chen asked. When the old man heard that, he was also stunned. He looked at Jiang Chen, then pointed at his box and asked, you're not here for this? There are some memories of your previous lives in this box. The old man said, what? Jiang Chen was shocked. He was even more excited. He knew that if he could get this box and integrate the memories in it, then he would know many secrets. However, when he reached out and was about to take the box, the old man suddenly kept the box and said softly, it seems that you haven't awakened yet. Since you haven't awakened yet, I can't give you this for now. What awakening? Jiang Chen asked, puzzled. I'm not sure. When you were in the profound heaven realm, we had some interactions. At that time, you asked us to take care of this item. We can only give it to you after you awaken, the old man said. As for what awakening is, you didn't tell us in detail. Chapter 1247. The skinny old man didn't know what a true awakening was, but looking at Jiang Chen's appearance, he didn't even have a trace of his past memories. This clearly wasn't an awakening. The 3 mountains and 5 seas had once made an agreement with Jiang Chen in one of his lifetimes. They had to wait for Jiang Chen to awaken before they could give him the memory box. Forget it. Since you don't want to give it to me, there's nothing I can do. Jiang Chen said softly. He looked at the skinny old man and asked, are you guys really building a new reincarnation road? As soon as he said this, the skinny old man's expression changed slightly. He glanced at Long Dade and said in a low voice, you were the one who told others? This is my boss. Is there a problem with me telling my boss? Long Dade said confidently. Although Long Dade's cultivation wasn't high, his status was very high. He was the ancestral dragon. Even though the skinny old man was an extraordinary, he didn't dare to do anything to Long Dade. Moreover, this was the ancestral land of the dragon race. As long as Long Dade called for help, there would be plenty of dragons to help him. Don't tell anyone else about this, the skinny old man said in a low voice. What we're doing is just to leave a way out for the future generations. Leave a way out for the future generations? Jiang Chen pursed his lips. He naturally didn't believe the skinny old man's words. One had to know that the ancient netherworld controlled the world because they controlled Gu Luanhe. Now the 3 mountains and 5 seas wanted to build a new reincarnation road. Their goal was probably the same as the ancient netherworld. They also wanted to control the world. You might not believe it, but what the 3 mountains and 5 seas are doing now is indeed for the future generations. The skinny old man sighed and said, "This world will eventually collapse. When that happens, everything will turn into nothingness. If all living beings don't have the reincarnation road to walk, then this world will be completely destroyed." "Oh, your words. I don't believe it," Jiang Chun said in annoyance. "If you want to control the world with the reincarnation road, just say it. Why do you have to make it sound so righteous? Wasn't the ancient underworld the same back then? They controlled the path of reincarnation and controlled the world." The skinny old man's face darkened when he heard this. He explained, "You haven't recovered any of your memories, so it's useless to tell you this. You won't believe me anyway." With that said, the skinny old man looked at Jiang Chun and asked, "What business do you have with us? If you have something to say, just say it." "The heavenly court has appeared," Jiang Chun said directly. "I heard that the 3 mountains and 5 seas and the heavenly court are sworn enemies." "Oh, the heavenly court has appeared." The skinny old man was stunned for a moment, as if he was very surprised. Then the skinny old man asked, "Did the heavenly court do anything?" "Nianchanga is in the southern star region. After the heavenly court appeared, they planned to attack Nianchanga," Jiang Chun said truthfully. After he finished speaking, Jiang Chun was just about to continue speaking when the skinny old man's expression turned serious, and he said in a deep voice, "Are you sure? Is the heavenly court really planning to make a move in the southern star field?" "Yes." Jiang Chun was puzzled and asked, "What's wrong? Is there anything strange about it?" "Of course it's strange." The skinny old man's expression became more serious as he stared at Jiang Chun and asked, "Do you know what's in the southern star region?" Before Jiang Chun could speak, the skinny old man pointed above his head and said, "The ruins of the ancient heavenly court are there. The gate to the ancient heavenly court is also there. According to legend, only through the southern heavenly gate can one enter the real ancient heavenly court. Now that the heavenly court has appeared, they just have to attack the southern star region. Could it be they have already found the southern heavenly gate and want to enter the ancient heavenly court?" The skinny old man whispered as the fear in his eyes became more and more intense. He didn't pay any more attention to Jiang Chun. Instead, he turned around and entered the cave. Not long after, a few exclamations came from the cave, followed by several terrifying auras. The auras were like long dragons, tearing the void and breaking the sky as if they were going to break the shackles and shackles of the heavenly court. After a few more breaths, the skinny old man walked out, looked at Jiang Chun, and said, "The 3 mountains and 5 seas will settle this matter. We will definitely not let the heavenly court have their way." "Oh, that's good," Jiang Chun whispered, thinking that the 3 mountains and 5 seas and the heavenly court were really arch-enemies. In this way, Jiang Chun was much more relieved. With the 3 mountains and 5 seas' help, Nianchanga was relatively safer. However, Jiang Chun was also worried. If the heavenly court really wanted to kill Nianchanga at all costs, then who could stop them? But on second thought, Jiang Chun felt that he was overthinking. The skinny old man had said very clearly that the heavenly court had appeared only for the southern heavenly gate. They wanted to kill Nianchanga, but it was just a pretense. However, just as Jiang Chun was thinking about that, something big happened in the southern star region. The ancestor of the Chang and clan, Nianchanga, was seriously injured by several experts of the heavenly court today. Then, he escaped and disappeared, and no one knew whether he was alive or dead. The moment this news came out, it instantly swept through the entire upper-class world. After all, the current southern star region was the most chaotic place among all the star regions. Many people were paying attention to this place, especially for Nianchanga. Even the extraordinaires were paying attention to him. What? Nianchanga was injured. He's still being hunted down? Half a day later, Jiang Chun also received the news, and his expression could not help but become strange. Not only was he worried about Nianchanga, but he was also puzzled. Why was the Heavenly Court targeting Nyenchanga? Logically speaking, the Heavenly Court would only care about the southern Heavenly Gate, and in the eyes of the Heavenly Court, Nyenchanga was probably just an ant. But now, this matter seemed a little strange. From the looks of it, the Heavenly Court was really planning to kill Nyenchanga. What kind of enmity did the two sides have? Have the 3 mountains and 5 seas made a move? Jiangchen asked. Half a day ago, the 3 mountains and 5 seas agreed to deal with the Heavenly Court. But now, half a day had passed, and there was no movement from the 3 mountains and 5 seas. No news. No one came out of the cave. Long Dade's face darkened, and he said, "That skinny old man can't be lying to us, right? It's a little unreliable," Zhang Chen said in a low voice. But just as he finished speaking, a ray of light shot up into the sky from the cave, then broke through the air and flew towards the south. A few breaths later, another 3 rays of light flew out, and their goal was very clear. They were heading towards the Southern Star region. They finally made a move. Zhang Chun sighed softly, thinking that the 3 mountains and 5 seas were lying to him. However, Zhang Chun was also a little confused. The 3 mountains and 5 seas only sent out so few people this time. Could this few people fight against the Heavenly Court? Why don't you ask a few extraordinaires from the Dragon Tribe to go and help? Jiang Chun asked Long Dade. Hearing this, Long Dade smiled bitterly and shook his head, saying, "I've already asked, but the few old dragons in the tribe did not agree, saying that they do not want to provoke the Heavenly Court. The Dragon Tribe is still afraid of the Heavenly Court?" Jiang Chun was confused, thinking that such a powerful tribe like the Dragon Tribe would really be afraid of the Heavenly Court. Chapter 1248. The Heavenly Court was indeed powerful, but the Dragon Tribe was not weak either. As one of the 3 giants of the Demon Tribe, if the Dragon Tribe was determined to fight to the death with the Heavenly Court, even the Heavenly Court would be terrified and wary of them. However, the Dragon Tribe did not seem to want to start a war with the Heavenly Court. This made Jiang Chun very confused. The Dragon Tribe was now in an alliance with the 3 mountains and 5 seas. Since the 3 mountains and 5 seas had already sent experts to deal with the Heavenly Court, why did the Dragon Tribe not make a move? The 2 sides had already formed an alliance. If the 3 mountains and 5 seas were defeated and destroyed by the Heavenly Court, it would not be a good thing for the Dragon Tribe. The Dragon Tribe has to guard the many demon tribes. Long Dade sighed and said, "We can't make a move easily. Otherwise, it will cause a war between the tribes." Then, if the 3 mountains and 5 seas are no match for the Heavenly Court, will the Dragon Tribe sit back and do nothing? Jiang Chen asked. Hearing this, Long Dade said with certainty, "If the 3 mountains and 5 seas are no match for the Heavenly Court, then my Dragon Tribe will definitely help them." At this point, Long Dade's expression became strange, and he said, "However, with the strength and foundation of the 3 mountains and 5 seas, we don't have to worry about them at all." "Oh, you know about the foundation of the 3 mountains and 5 seas?" Jiang Chen asked. When he was in the 6 realms, Jiang Chen knew that the 3 mountains and 5 seas were very strong. However, at that time, there was not a single extraordinaire in the 3 mountains and 5 seas. Now that the 3 mountains and 5 seas had come to the Great Thousand World, Jiang Chen really did not know how deep their foundation was. "You haven't seen him before, but I saw him clearly before," Long Dade said in a low voice. "The foundation of the 3 mountains and 5 seas is unfathomable. It can even be described as terrifying. An old dragon of my tribe told me that there is a supreme expert in the 3 mountains and 5 seas who is half a step away from becoming an immortal." When Jiang Chen heard this, his expression changed drastically. His eyes flashed with shock and disbelief. Were there really immortals in the world? Immortals, what kind of realm was that? Could such a creature really exist in the Great Thousand World? However, Jiang Chen knew very well that if the 3 mountains and 5 seas really had such an expert who was half a step away from becoming an immortal, then the 3 mountains and 5 seas meant that the Heavenly Court was indeed powerful. But the Dragon Tribe was not weak either. As one of the three giants of the demon race, if the dragon race was really determined to fight to the death with the heavenly courts would probably be terrified and afraid. However, the dragon race did not seem to want to start a war with the heavenly courts. This made Jiang Chen very puzzled. One must know that the current dragon tribe could be considered to be in an alliance with the three mountains and five seas. In that case, now that the three mountains and five seas had already sent experts to deal with the heavenly court, why didn't the dragon race make a move? The two of them had already formed an alliance. If the three mountains and five seas were to be defeated and destroyed by the heavenly court, that wouldn't be a good thing for the dragon race. Sometimes, the dragon race has its reasons for guarding many demons. Long Dade sighed and said, the dragon race can't easily make a move. Otherwise, it will provoke a war between the races. Then, if the three mountains and five seas are no match for the heavenly courts, will the dragon tribe sit back and do nothing? Jiang Chen asked. As soon as he said this, Long Dade said with certainty, if the three mountains and five seas are no match for the heavenly courts, then the dragon tribe will definitely help them. At this point, Long Dade's expression became strange, and he said, however, with the strength and foundation of the three mountains and five seas, we don't have to worry about them at all. Oh, you know about the foundation of the three mountains and five seas? Jiang Chen asked. When he was in the six realms, Jiang Chen knew that the three mountains and five seas were very powerful. However, at that time, there was not a single extraordinary in the three mountains and five seas. Now that the three mountains and five seas had come to the great thousand world, Jiang Chen really did not know how deep their foundation was. You haven't seen it before, but I've seen it clearly before, Long Dade said in a low voice. The foundation of the three mountains and five seas is unfathomable now. It can even be described as terrifying. An old dragon of my tribe told me before that the three mountains and five seas have a supreme expert who is half a step away from becoming an immortal. When Jiang Chen heard this, his expression changed drastically. His eyes flashed with shock and disbelief. Were there really immortals in this world? Immortals, what kind of realm was that? Could such a living being really exist in the great thousand world? However, Jiang Chen also knew very well that if the three mountains and five seas really had such a supreme expert who was half a step away from becoming an immortal, then how terrifying was the foundation of the three mountains and five seas? At this moment, Jiang Chen finally understood why the three mountains and five seas had only sent out a few people previously. It was because the three mountains and five seas did not fear the heavenly courts. They had a powerhouse who was half a step away from becoming an immortal. Although this person did not make a move, his existence was a form of deterrence. This time, even if the three mountains and five seas only sent out one person, the heavenly courts would not dare to make a move. However, on second thought, if the heavenly courts were so powerful, then did they also have a powerhouse who was half a step away from becoming an immortal? Dade, I'm still a little worried. Jiang Chen frowned. A powerhouse who is half a step away from becoming an immortal. In the end, he's just an extraordinary. He's just a little more powerful than an ordinary extraordinary. How could there be such a powerhouse in the heavenly courts? Living beings of this level will sense each other and will be wary of each other. No one is willing to fight to the death. This time, since the three mountains and five seas have stepped in, there should be no problem in protecting Yanchanga, Long Dade said confidently. When Jiang Chen heard this, he nodded to himself. He admitted that Long Dade's words made sense. Since there was no need to worry about Yanchanga, it was time to go to the Great Thousand Mine. Go and get Huang Dade and Yao Dade. After we gather, I'll bring you to the Great Thousand Mine. I'd like to see what's in the Great Thousand Mine, Jiang Chen said. Then, Long Dade went to inform the other two Dades. Jiang Chen stayed in the ancestral land of the dragon tribe and waited for them to gather. However, only half a day later, when the three Dades gathered, a piece of news reached the ancestral land of the dragon tribe. What did you say? The heavenly courts shattered Nian Changa's soul in front of the extraordinary beings of the three mountains and five seas. At this moment, Jiang Qin's face turned pale. He jumped up and stared at Long Dade, who had just received the news. Long Dade's face was also very ugly. He had just received the news and came to tell Jiang Qin. He did not expect that the heavenly courts would go crazy this time and refuse to let go of Nianchanga. Didn't you say that the 3 mountains and 5 seas could save Nianchanga? What about now? Long Dade. Jiang Qin's face was cold. He stared at Long Dade and said in a deep voice, "We're all brothers. You're irresponsible." Long Dade felt wronged. He did not expect the heavenly courts to be so ruthless this time. As the ancestral dragon, the dragon tribe values you so much. If you really wanted to save Nianchanga, how could you not mobilize the dragon tribe's experts? Jiang Qin said coldly, "Now you're full. You've lost a brother. It's just that the soul was shattered." The experts of the 3 mountains and 5 seas also took action and saved a wisp of Nianchanga's true soul. Perhaps there's still hope. Bird Dade mediated and said, "Why don't we go to the Southern Star region to take a look first?" "There's no need to look. The people of the 3 mountains and 5 seas have returned and brought back a wisp of Nianchanga's true soul." Long Dade sighed. The self-blame and sadness in his eyes were undisguised. He brought Jiang Qin to the cave of the 3 mountains and 5 seas. The skinny old man immediately appeared and handed a wisp of Nianchanga's true soul to Jiang Qin. Chapter 1249. There was a mist-like object floating in the skinny old man's hand. It contained traces of blood qi and soul fluctuations. Jiang Qin stared at the wisp of mist. His expression was indescribable. Perhaps it was anger, perhaps it was sorrow. He stared at it until a long time passed. He slowly stretched out his hands and took the wisp of mist with trembling hands. "He became like this?" Jiang Qin whispered. When he looked up at the elder, his eyes were bloodshot. "We didn't expect the heavenly court to be so determined to kill him." The elder frowned. He wasn't sad because of Nianchanga's situation. After all, to him, Nianchanga had nothing to do with the 3 mountains and 5 seas. Now, the elder was confused. What was going on between Nianchanga and the heavenly court? The heavenly court only wanted the Southern Star region's southern heavenly gate. If Nianchanga was willing to leave the Southern Star region, the heavenly court didn't have to kill him. But now, don't you think it's strange? The heavenly court must kill him. There must be something going on, the elder said softly. Jiang Qin burst into laughter. He said in a cold voice, "He's already in such a state. And you? Do you only care about the secrets behind this?" With that, Jiang Qin looked at Long Dade with a gloomy face. "Can he still be saved?" Long Dade nodded. "Yes. There's a heavenly spring in the ancestral land of the dragon race. It's enough for him to be reborn. If anything happens to him, you don't have to call me boss anymore," Jiang Qin said softly. Then, Jiang Qin handed a wisp of Nianchanga's soul to Long Dade and walked out of the ancestral land of the dragon race. "Boss, where are you going?" Bird Dade asked. He suddenly had a bad feeling. In fact, the 3 virtuous virtues all knew Jiang Qin wouldn't let go of Nianchanga, who had been beaten so badly. However, with Jiang Qin's current cultivation, even if he didn't let it go, what could he do? The enormous heavenly court was not something that Jiang Qin could contend against alone. However, the 3 great virtues were even more clear that once Jiang Qin's temper flared up, no one would be able to stop him. "My man ended up like this. Of course, I have to go and ask for an explanation," Jiang Qin said in a low voice. With his back facing the 3 great virtuous virtues, he waved his hand and said, "Take care of him." "Won't." As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Qin turned into a ray of flowing light and disappeared instantly. At this moment, the 3 virtuous beings stood where they were and looked at each other. They could see the shock and worry in each other's eyes. They knew that Jiang Qin definitely went to find the heavenly court this time. "Boss, will he be all right? Why do you have to do this? Isn't it better to wait for Nianchanga to be reborn? If we go there alone, we'll just be throwing our lives away." Niao Dade and Huang Dade were confused. Perhaps this is the key to acknowledging him as our boss. Long Dade sighed and blamed himself. Just like what Jiangchen had said, if Long Dade insisted on the help of the dragon tribe, Nyanchanga would not have ended up like this. It seems like my ancestral dragon status is nothing in the dragon tribe. Long Dade's face was gloomy. He carried Nyanchanga's soul and walked towards the heavenly spring. When he reached the entrance of the heavenly spring, he was stopped by two old dragons. The two old dragons were very polite to Long Dade, their faces full of respect. However, they stood in front of Long Dade and did not allow Nyanchanga's soul to enter the heavenly spring. Actually, I really don't care about my status as the ancestral dragon of the dragon tribe. Long Dade said softly and laughed bitterly. I thought I was very respected as the ancestral dragon. Actually, it's just an undeserved reputation. As he spoke, Long Dade turned around and the bitter smile on his face disappeared. Even his smile and emotions were gone. With his back facing the two old dragons, a terrifying aura exploded from his body. He said emotionlessly, "From today onwards, the dragon tribe is the dragon tribe. I belong to my tribe." "Your Honor? What do you mean, Your Honor? You—" At this moment, the two old dragons realized that this matter had blown up. They were not stupid. They could tell from Long Dade's words that he was going to leave the dragon clan. To the dragon tribe, losing an ancestral dragon was undoubtedly a huge loss. Moreover, the dragon tribe was very strict. Even if Long Dade wanted to leave, no one would dare to stop him. As the ancestral dragon, he was blessed by the dragon tribe. If Long Dade was injured, the dragon tribe's luck would be ruined. In the future, the entire dragon tribe might be in trouble. Therefore, the two old dragons did not dare to stop Long Dade. They could only report this matter to their superiors. In the blink of an eye, an old dragon whose scales had almost all fallen off appeared. He was the dragon with the highest seniority in the dragon tribe. He was also the dragon with the deepest cultivation. In the dragon tribe, he had absolute status and power. At this moment, he slowly walked in front of Long Dade. Without any arrogance or nobility, he asked respectfully, "Your Honor, what's wrong?" "Nothing. I just feel that the dragon tribe is not suitable for me." Long Dade stared at the old dragon and said coldly, "What? You want to stop me?" "I don't dare." The old dragon shook his head. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the true soul in Long Dade's hand. He asked, "Is it because of him?" "Yes and no," Long Dade said softly. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He said with a hint of self-mockery, "Actually, I also understand that without power and status, it's just a superficial beauty. In the dragon tribe, you guys don't take me seriously." After he spoke, the old dragon immediately shook his head and explained, "My entire dragon clan respects you as their lord." "Is that so? Then why is he not willing to let me use the heaven spring? Is it because he's not from the dragon tribe? So even if I show up, he can't use the heaven spring?" Long Dade said disdainfully, "It doesn't matter. It's just saving a true soul." With that, Long Dade's body suddenly emitted a dim and holy light. It was like white petals falling from the sky. They slowly floated up and down and finally landed on Nyanchanga's true soul. Since ancient times, there have been many kinds of ancestral dragons. Long Dade said softly. When he looked at the old man, there was a hint of disdain in his eyes. He asked, "Do you know the meaning of the holy ancestral dragon?" At this moment, the old dragon's expression changed slightly. He seemed to have thought of something. However, he did not speak. He knew that Long Dade was very angry. "The holy will is to live." Long Dade said it simply, but it was also very profound and obscure. Then he did not speak. Instead, he looked at Nyanchanga's true soul in his hand and said, "He can live without the heaven spring. I want to use the heaven spring to save him because I don't want to expose my ancestral mystique. From now on, my ancestral mystique will not be used on any dragon tribe member. You are not worthy." Chapter 1250. There were many types of ancestral dragons, but under the baptism of time, there were no longer any ancestral dragons that survived. One had to know that the dragon tribe's current status was all because of the dragon tribe's ancestors. Those ancestral dragons had sacrificed a lot for the dragon tribe, and most of them had died in battle. Now that an ancestral dragon had finally appeared, it was undoubtedly a treasure to the dragon tribe. However, the ancestral dragon had disappeared for a long time, and the dragon tribe did not know some of its secrets. For example, the dragon tribe knew very little about the ancestral dragon's various divine powers. Now, when the old dragon heard Long Dade's divine powers, he knew that the dragon tribe had really made a mistake this time. At this moment, the old dragon did not know what to say. He just looked at Long Dade in a daze, and no one knew what he was thinking. Long Dade did not want to speak at this moment. His divine powers and light rain fell, enveloping Nyan Changa's true soul. As time passed, the light rain turned into silk and wrapped around the true soul, turning it into a cocoon. Then, Long Dade kept the cocoon and walked out of the dragon tribe's ancestral land without looking at the old dragon. Beside him, Niao Dade and Huang Dade followed closely. They also did not say a word and left just like that, until the three of them left the dragon tribe's ancestral land. No one in the dragon tribe dared to stop them. This was the prestige of an ancestral dragon. Tribe leader, his honor left just like that? We didn't do anything. At this moment, many dragon tribe members surrounded the old dragon with confusion in their eyes. When the old dragon heard this, he looked at the surrounding dragon tribe members, and a trace of disappointment flashed across his eyes. Your ignorance might be the real reason why his honor left the dragon tribe. The old dragon sighed. He knew very well that the reason why Long Dade left the dragon tribe was not because the dragon tribe did not want to lend Nyan Changa the heavenly spring. It was because the dragon tribe thought that they treated Long Dade very well, but that was only on the surface. If they really treated Long Dade well, they could tell that Long Dade wanted to help Nyan Changa. If they really treated Long Dade well, the dragon tribe's experts would have gone to the Southern Star region to help Nyan Changa without Long Dade asking. However, this was not how things were supposed to develop. In the end, Jiang Chun blamed Long Dade, and Long Dade couldn't express his bitterness until the anger in his heart exploded. Presumptuous! The old dragon sighed. He looked around at his fellow clan members, and the disappointment in his eyes grew even stronger. Long Dade had already left, but this group of clansmen still did not know where they had gone wrong. At this moment, the powerhouses of the Vermilion Bird Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe were gathered outside the Dragon Tribe's ancestral land. The Vermilion Bird and Phoenix clans had always been on good terms with the Dragon Clan, so they would be the first to know if something big happened in the Dragon Clan. Now, the two demon races knew that Long Dade had left the Dragon race. Your Honor, your two brothers are both in the Phoenix Clan and the Vermilion Bird Clan. Then if you don't have anywhere to go, why don't you come to our clan? Your Honor, the Phoenix Clan is always waiting for you. It was obvious that the two demon tribes were here to recruit Long Dade. Although they were of different races, if he could rope in an ancestral dragon into his own race, the result would be ideal. I'm sick of it. I want to go out alone and see the greater world. Long Dade sighed. To him, he was a dragon born in the Six Realms, and he belonged to the Six Realms. To the greater world, he was just a guest. Now, he had thought it through. It did not matter how strong his race was. Only when he was strong himself could he be considered strong. Looks like the three of us should go out and explore the world like before. Brother Long, I'll go with you. At this moment, Huang Dade and Niao Dade had also made their decision. They did not want to go back to their own races, but they wanted to go out and explore the world with Long Dade. Just like in the Six Realms, the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Clan were different, so there was no need to forcefully categorize them. Your Honor, do you mean? Your Honor, please reconsider. The powerhouses of the Phoenix Clan and the Vermilion Bird Tribe were shocked. They understood what Niao Dade and Huang Dade meant. They were going to leave their own races. You don't have to say anymore. We're not leaving our own seeds. We just feel that the world is very big, and we want to go out and see it. Huang Dade said seriously. We'll come back when Brother Long returns. Farewell, everyone." In the end, the three of them left with a wisp of Nyan Changa's soul. After the three of them left, the Phoenix clan and the Vermilion Bird tribe were completely furious. They did not blame Niao Dade and Huang Dade. Instead, they vented their anger on the Dragon tribe. This was because none of them were fools. They all knew what was going on this time. If Long Dade had not left the Dragon tribe, Niao Dade and Huang Dade would not have left them. Now, the cause of all this was the Dragon tribe. Dragon tribe, look at what you've done. It's fine if you can't keep your own ancestral level, but now, even the ancestral level of our two clans are venting their anger on us. The Dragon tribe has to come out and solve this matter. The powerhouses of the Phoenix clan and the Vermilion Bird tribe rushed into the Dragon tribe's ancestral land and said ruthlessly. They even looked like they were going to attack. "Our Dragon clan will take care of this matter." The old dragon sighed. After he finished saying those words, he disappeared from where he stood. Half a day later, a piece of news came from the Southern Star region. An old true dragon attacked in anger and killed more than 10 emperors of the Heavenly Court. He even killed a Heavenly Court's extraordinary being on the spot. The fall of an emperor would shake the world to begin with. And this time, it was the death of a transcendent. This kind of thing rarely happened. Even in the most intense battle, it was rare to see an extraordinary being die. And this time, the old dragon of the Dragon tribe was really angry. He had displayed terrifying strength that could kill a supernatural being. And he did this perhaps to tell Long Dade that the Dragon tribe would always stand on his side. Or perhaps he wanted to tell the Heavenly Court that the Dragon tribe was not afraid. However, he knew better than anyone that it had already happened. It was too late. Perhaps the three great virtuous beings would never return from this day onwards. Dragon tribe, are you going to start a war with the Heavenly Court? On this day, someone in the Heavenly Court roared angrily. The sound of his voice actually penetrated from the Southern Star region to the Dragon tribe's ancestral land. "Send out the troops." The Dragon tribe's response was very simple. The two words, "send out the troops," were like thunder, resounding throughout the entire upper-class world. On this day, the various tribes of the Dragon tribe, as well as the affiliated tribes of the Dragon tribe, sent out emperors and extraordinary beings to gather in the Dragon tribe's ancestral land. At the same time, the Phoenix clan and the Vermilion Bird clan also sent out powerhouses. At this moment, it was as if the entire demon tribe had joined forces. All the powerhouses gathered in the Dragon tribe's ancestral land, and a decree was sent to the starry sky. It was a challenge to the Heavenly Court. Chapter 1251. No one expected that the dragon race would actually wage war against the Heavenly Court for Long Dade. Perhaps even Long Dade and Jiang Chun did not expect it. Even the Heavenly Court could not understand why the dragon race would be so angry this time. For the dragon race, the reason for waging war against the Heavenly Court was firstly because of Long Dade, and secondly to tell the world that the dragon race was not afraid of any faction. As one of the three major demon races and the leader of the demon races, the dragon race had always been very powerful and domineering since ancient times. They did not want to cause trouble, but fighting did not mean that they were afraid of trouble. Of course, there were also people who were puzzled. Even if the dragon race was not afraid of trouble, was there a need to wage war against the Heavenly Court? One had to know that the Heavenly Court's foundation was unfathomable. Even if the dragon race were to attack, they might not be a match for the Heavenly Court. In the end, it was very likely that both sides would suffer, and even the entire dragon race would be destroyed. However, for the dragon race, it was very normal for them to wage war against the Heavenly Court this time. That was because the ancestral dragon was a kind of faith and a kind of will to the entire dragon race. The entire dragon race could be wronged, but not the ancestral dragon. We have indeed gone overboard previously. We only gave the Lord face, but we did not give him enough strength. The old dragon sighed. This time, he wanted to tell Long Dade and the entire world that the ancestral dragon of the dragon race was the face and faith of the entire dragon race. No one could humiliate him. Half a day later, people saw many demon race experts tear through the void and descend in the Southern Star region. On this day, the Heavenly Court also sent out many experts. There were even many transcendents who engaged in a fierce battle with the dragon race and the various demon races. This battle was concealed by the experts using great divine abilities. Outsiders could not see the battle at all. As for this battle, it did not last very long. It only lasted for 10 days. 10 days later, the fog on the battlefield disappeared. Many people watched from afar. When they saw the scene of the battlefield after the battle, many people were moved. On the battlefield, there were hundreds of dragon race corpses that were like mountains. Among them, there was no lack of emperors. There was even a transcendent-level true dragon that had fallen. As for the other demon race experts, there were more than 1,000 casualties. And these demons that died in battle were all mighty figures of their own regions. The weakest among them was at the Emperor realm. Everyone found it hard to imagine how intense this battle was. How many emperors had died, and how many extraordinaires had fallen? The Dragon Clan lost. Most of the corpses here are of the dragon race and other demons. I don't see the corpses of the heavenly courts, as expected of the heavenly courts. They fought against a large group of demons by themselves. Many people exclaimed, becoming more and more fearful of the heavenly court. However, just half a day later, the heavenly courts announced to the world that they wanted to seek peace with the dragon race. What? Ask for peace? So many experts from the demon and dragon races have died, but not many from the heavenly courts have died. Why are they asking for peace? This was going on. Many people were surprised. There were very few corpses of people from the heavenly court on the battlefield. Most of them were from the monster race and dragon race. Logically speaking, the heavenly court had the upper hand in this battle. However, the first to ask for peace was the heavenly court. Since ancient times, even when the ancient heavenly courts and the ancient netherworld were still around, the dragon race was still fearless. Time has passed, and the vicissitudes of life are gone. And this mere heavenly court wants to humiliate the dragon race. Today, there's no need to talk about peace. On this day, the old dragon of the dragon race revealed his true form. A true dragon body that spanned half the galaxy appeared. Dragon scales grew on his body, and his blood energy was majestic. Especially his eyes. It seemed to want to embrace all things in the world, including the great Tao laws. He was like a world lying in the southern galaxy. Wherever he passed, the stars trembled and the Milky Way broke. And under his feet were the corpses of 8 extraordinaires. And these 8 extraordinaires' corpses were definitely from the heavenly courts. At this moment, everyone realized that although the dragon race and the demon race had suffered heavy losses in this battle, there were not many extraordinaires who died. As for the heavenly courts in this battle, 8 extraordinaires had died. Moreover, looking at the old dragon's appearance and posture, these 8 extraordinaires should have been killed by him. This old dragon, could it be the foundation of the dragon race? The power of one dragon killed 8 extraordinaires. What level has his cultivation reached? Half step to immortality? Or is he really about to become an immortal? The hearts of the upper echelons of the various large factions turned cold. They were not sure if there were immortals in the world. However, they could all see that there was something wrong with this old dragon's strength. It was too terrifying, far surpassing ordinary extraordinaires. My heavenly court is not willing to fight anymore. As long as your dragon race makes a condition, my heavenly court can compensate the dragon race for their losses. On this day, someone saw a man shrouded in white mist come in front of the old dragon. He was very calm, and there was no fluctuation in his expression. Even his emotions were like stagnant water, dead silent. In front of the old dragon, he was like a speck of dust. Compared to the old dragon's body that spanned half the galaxy, he was too small. However, everyone knew that at this moment, the person who dared to stand in front of the old dragon was definitely not an ordinary person. From now on, wherever my race's supreme passes, the people of the heavenly court will retreat 3 feet and kneel down to pay respects. The old dragon put forward a condition. He did not want the heavenly court to compensate the dragon race, as long as they respected Long Dade. However, this was too difficult for the heavenly court to do. If they compensated the dragon race with some treasures, or even some divine medicine, or even immortality medicine, the heavenly court might be able to give them all. However, the old dragon's condition was undoubtedly stepping on the heavenly court's face. How powerful was the heavenly court? Although they took the lead to ask for peace this time, it did not mean that they were really afraid of the dragon race. The dragon race is strong, but in this world, the dragon race is not in charge. The voice of the man shrouded in white mist changed. It became cold and filled with killing intent. The old dragon was fearless. As the leader of the dragon race, he commanded several demons. After experiencing the baptism of time, what had he not seen? To him, even when the ancient heavenly court was still around, he did not dare to treat the dragon race like this. Since you don't agree, then let's fight. At this moment, the old dragon did not say anything else. With a furious roar, he directly attacked the man shrouded in white mist. The old dragon's attack was very brutal. He opened his mouth and swallowed the man directly. However, a few breaths later, the man tore open the old dragon's stomach and rushed out of his body. He dragged half of his body and fled this place. Is this old dragon really that strong? He almost swallowed him in one bite. The man from the heavenly court shouldn't be weak either. He can still escape. There's a good show to watch now. The heavenly court just came into being, and they're already fighting the dragon race. Perhaps the heavenly court is going to fall this time. Chapter 1252. The Dragon Clan refused to give up, and the heavenly court refused to agree to the conditions. As a result, the matter was completely blown up. The Dragon Clan and the heavenly court had completely fallen out. However, the following day surprised the world. It was because the Dragon Clan no longer attacked the heavenly court, and the heavenly court seemed to have disappeared. There were no members of the heavenly court. A battle that was supposed to be a life-and-death battle suddenly stopped. However, many people knew that with the Dragon Clan and the Heavenly Court's foundation and style of doing things, this matter would not end just like that. Perhaps this was the calm before the storm. During this period of time, Jiang Chun, who had left the Dragon Clan's ancestral land, did not idle around. He came to the Southern Star region alone. The Southern Star region was very large. There were countless stars in a complicated world. Looking from other star regions, the starlight in the Southern Star region was very bright, illuminating the dark and cold universe. In the west of the Southern Star region, in a remote small world, I really don't understand why we were sent here. Is the Heavenly Court afraid of the Dragon Clan? They're just from the Dragon Clan. Other than that old dragon, the rest of them are trash that can't even be brought to the table. In a picturesque forest, outside a cave, a group of young people gathered together. Some were cultivating, while others were discussing recent events. From what these young people said, one could tell that they were all disciples of the Heavenly Court. These young people's cultivation bases were very extraordinary. Some had reached the Emperor level, while others were at the Divine Venerable level. There were even a few who emitted an aura that vaguely carried a wisp of transcendent aura. Each and every one of them had outstanding talents, and the way they spoke was extraordinary. Obviously, these young people were the top disciples of the Heavenly Court. At this moment, they were all very depressed. Why did the Heavenly Court let them come to this remote world? Could it be that they were afraid of the Dragon Clan? Who is it? Just as everyone was discussing, a young man whose cultivation base had reached the Emperor level looked at an ancient tree not far away with a cold light in his eyes. He felt that someone was spying on them. TSK, 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 as expected of the top disciples of the Heavenly Court. Their senses are so sharp. At this moment, a young man dressed in white with long hair, casually scattered on his shoulders, walked out from behind the ancient tree. He had a smile on his face, but this smile gave people a cold feeling. His eyes, in particular, were filled with boundless and violent killing intent. "Who is it? How dare you trespass into my heavenly court's world?" The group of young people stood up and stared at the young man. One of them even raised his hand and struck towards the young man. "The disciples of the heavenly court are so impressive." The young man chuckled. He allowed the palm to hit him, but he didn't move at all. Not even a corner of his clothes was torn. At the same time, a barrier appeared around the cave, trapping everyone inside. "I heard some things. Some time ago, the heavenly court chased after a person called Nyen Changa. The heavenly court's disciples also wantonly attacked and killed several of Nyen Changa's subordinates." The young man narrowed his eyes and asked, "Were you among those who attacked? Are you talking about the man who calls himself Chang, an old ancestor? Humph! You're just a piece of trash. Yet you're delusional enough to think that you can dominate the Southern Star region. You really don't know what death is. So what if we attacked? Since he's an enemy of the heavenly court, what's wrong with us attacking him?" The young people looked arrogant, and some even looked contemptuous. They waved their hands in front of them, trying to break the barrier. In response, the young man chuckled and nodded. "Yes, you're right. Since he's an enemy, there's nothing wrong with me attacking." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the young man suddenly charged out like a ferocious tiger. The phantoms of a dragon and a tiger appeared behind him, and the roars of a dragon and a tiger erupted. Even the void around him collapsed under the roars of the dragon and tiger. He was extremely fast, and before anyone could react, he arrived in front of one of them. Then, he punched and shattered the young man's body. Then, the young man swept out his palm and destroyed the young man's soul. "You really dare to attack? Who are you?" At this moment, everyone was shocked, and some even felt chills all over their bodies. This was because they could clearly see that the young man's cultivation was only at the godly king level. A godly monarch had just killed a godly venerate with ease. Jiang Chun. The young man finally revealed his identity. He was Jiang Chun. However, these heavenly court disciples did not know Jiang Chun. After all, they rarely roamed the world and spent most of their time cultivating in seclusion. "Never heard of him. Kid, don't you know where you are? We have emperors here. So what if a godly king is strong? Can you turn the world upside down? Today we'll kill you." The emperors came forward right away. As they spoke, they dashed toward Jiang Chun. In response, Jiang Chun smiled contemptuously. He really did not care about these emperors. In the next moment, Jiang Chun waved his hand, and another array formation rose from the ground. This was a great killing array. The moment the killing array rose, the place seemed to be torn apart. Whether it was time or space, everything in the killing array turned into dust. Even the emperors died on the spot in the killing array. Not even a trace of ash was left. You're prepared? Stop it now. Otherwise, you won't be able to withstand the wrath of the heavenly court. The remaining people were terrified. Even the emperors found it difficult to survive in the killing array, let alone them. However, Jiang Chun did not say a word. He activated the array formation, and the shadows of swords and sabers fell, reaping the lives of these people as if they were grass being mowed. After a dozen breaths, the inside and outside of the cave abode turned into nothingness. Not a single heavenly court disciple survived. You call yourself the heavenly court. Do you really think you can be the master of this world and control the lives of others? Jiang Chun snorted coldly. After glancing at the cave abode that had turned into nothingness, he turned and left. These days, Jiang Chun asked around and even went to the black market to look for clues about the heavenly court. Finally, today, he found this place and killed all the disciples of the heavenly court here. Of course, Jiang Chun did not kill indiscriminately. He had already found out that the disciples of the heavenly court who stayed here had once attacked Nyen Changa and his subordinates. Sigh, I don't know what to do with the black market. At this moment, Jiang Chun did not care if the heavenly court would come to seek revenge from him. Instead, he was hesitating about how to explain to the black market. After all, The information that Jiang Chen obtained from the black market was bought with money. He even used up all his financial resources to find out this information. And it was not enough. He still owed the black market a lot of money. Chapter 1253. The heavenly court was so powerful that there were very few forces in the world that could compete with it. If one wanted to obtain some confidential information from the heavenly court, they would have to pay a huge price. After all, no one was willing to provoke the heavenly court. If they leaked the heavenly court's confidential information, once the heavenly court found out, it would be equivalent to provoking a fatal disaster. Therefore, anyone who provided the heavenly court's confidential information would have to pay a huge price. Even a rich person like Jiang Chen went bankrupt because of a piece of information about the heavenly court. He even owed money to the black market. Jiang Chen had always been a scoundrel. It was normal for him to owe money and not pay it back. However, this time, Jiang Chen did not dare to owe money to the black market. It was because the black market was too complicated and the water was too deep. There were all kinds of people there. Sometimes a child you met in the black market could be a patriarch of a top force. Since ancient times, no one had dared to mess around in the black market, and no one had dared to owe money in the black market. This time, Jiang Chen owed a large sum of money to the black market. In 100 years, Jiang Chen was the first. If I don't pay back the money from the black market, I'm afraid I'll lose my life. Jiang Chen muttered as he left the world and flew toward an ancient world in the Southern Star region. This world was called the Dark Sky. The black market was in this world and was hidden very well. Even the native creatures of the Dark Sky rarely knew about the existence of the black market. Jiang Chen only found out about the black market by chance. Half a day later, Jiang Chen entered the Dark Sky world. Through a small inn, he entered an underground palace. The underground palace was not big. It was only the size of a basketball court. However, such a small underground place was the most chaotic place in the entire Greater Thousand world. The black market. After Jiang Chen entered the black market, he changed his appearance and clothes. He even used the 1,000 transformations heavenly lamp and the chaotic chi to change his aura. At this moment, he was like a skinny old man. He had a head full of white hair and a hunch body. He looked old, and half of his feet were about to step into the soil. This was how Jiang Chen looked when he first entered the black market. "You're finally here. You owe so much money. I thought you ran away." At this moment, a fat man saw Jiang Chen and hurriedly ran over. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he asked in a deep voice, "Where's the money?" "I don't have any money at the moment, so I came over to discuss with you. Can you postpone the remaining payment?" Jiang Chen coughed a few times, giving people the feeling that he was really old. However, this fatty wasn't that easy to bully. His eyes flashed as he stared at Jiang Chen and said, "Forget it. Although I can't see through your true appearance, your aura of time can't be changed. You won't be 100 years old. In the black market, even if you know the other party's identity, you can't say it out loud, right?" Jiang Chen joked as he patted the fatty's shoulder and said, "Back then, you were the one who came looking for this deal. I told you in advance that there wasn't enough money. Now, if you don't let me slow down, then could it be that you want me to pay with my life?" "My life? What's the use of it to you?" Hearing this, the fatty's face turned even uglier. If it wasn't for the fact that he hadn't received any business in the black market for a long time, he wouldn't have made this deal with Jiang Chen on credit. "Then tell me, what should we do about this? The black market has its own rules. If you owe money, you have to pay it back. When the time comes, even if I don't ask you for it, the leaders of the black market will. After all, the leaders of the black market will take a large sum of money from each transaction. Now, that sum of money hasn't been paid to the leaders of the black market." The fatty wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Although he had been in the black market for a long time, he still didn't dare to offend the leaders of the black market. Now, if Jiang Chen couldn't pay the money, he would have to pay for it. However, the fatty didn't have that much money on hand. "Go and discuss with the leaders of the black market. Give me 10 days. 10 days later, I'll pay them back with interest." Jiang Chen looked serious and said, "Don't worry. I Jiang Outyin. Always keep my word. F*CKU, Jiang Outyin. I know you're in disguise, but your name, can't you change it a little? What kind of name is that? The fatty rolled his eyes. Outyin? Patriarch? You're young, but you sure know how to act. Wait here. I'll go and discuss with the leaders of the black market. If the discussion doesn't go well, I won't take the blame for you. At most, I'll find a grave for you to bury you properly, the fatty said. Then, the fatty hurried away. He was really worried that the leaders of the black market would blame him. After the fatty left, Jiang Chen didn't stay idle. He touched his spatial ring and found that there were still some rare treasures left. He felt that since he was out of money, he might as well use up the last of the rare treasures. As the saying went, the clean one spends, the free one lives. I'm asking for information about the disciples of the heavenly court. After a few breaths, Jiang Chen stood in a corner of the black market. There was a small wooden sign in front of him. The wooden sign had the things he wanted written on it. After several breaths of time had passed, a woman walked over. She sized up Jiang Chen and asked in a soft voice, 10,000 top-grade natural treasures. Oh, how much information can you give me? Jiang Chen asked. I know where a hidden disciple of the heavenly court is, the woman said. Is that so? Then tell me. Jiang Chen patted his chest and said, Don't worry, I have money. In the black market, almost no one dared to cheat, let alone cheat openly. Because the woman knew about this, she didn't think much about it. She secretly sent a voice transmission and told Jiang Chen the whereabouts of the hidden disciple of the heavenly court. After that, she looked at Jiang Chen in a daze. Jiang Chen took out a piece of paper from his chest. After the woman took the piece of paper, her face instantly darkened. Because this was a F*King promissory note. Do you know where you are? The woman was so angry that she rolled her eyes. She had seen unreasonable people before, but she had never seen someone as unreasonable as Jiang Chen. How dare you write an IOU in the black market? You're really something. You're the first one in thousands of years. Don't worry, everyone knows what kind of person I am. This IOU is valid forever. Jiang Chen said seriously. I'm going to cripple you. The woman roared. She seemed to be so angry that her voice turned into a man's. Oh, a man? You're even better at disguising yourself as a woman. Jiang Chen was stunned. Then, he saw the woman slamming her palm toward Jiang Chen. Buzz! In an instant, the aura of an extraordinaire erupted, shocking all the living beings in the black market. Stop! However, before the palm landed, the fat man suddenly rushed over and shook off the woman's palm. Then, he shouted angrily, Do you want to die? If he dies, how are you going to pay the debt he owes to the black market? Chapter 1254. No one knew how powerful the black market tycoons were because they were too mysterious. Some people guessed that the black market tycoons were most likely from the top sex in the world. Even if an extraordinaire was here, he would not dare to be presumptuous. At this moment, the cross-dressing creature shivered as soon as he heard what the fat man had said. Looking at Jiang Chen in surprise, he asked, How dare you owe money to a tycoon of the black market? So be it. What's wrong? Jiang Chen said casually. At the same time, he pointed at the cross-dressing man's hand and said, I still owe money to you. It doesn't matter who I owe it to. Don't talk nonsense. The third tycoon of the black market wants you, the fat man said in a low voice. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said, Don't talk nonsense later. If you anger the third tycoon of the black market, you'll die. Okay. I won't talk nonsense. Jiang Chen nodded. At the same time, the cross-dressing man tore up the IOU. After glaring at Jiang Chen, he left immediately. He knew very well that Jiang Chen had not even finished paying off the black market tycoon. How could he have the money to pay him back? He did not need the IOU. It was just a piece of information anyway. In this day and age, my IOU doesn't work? Jiang Chen murmured. Back when he was on the godless continent or in the divine realm of 9 clouds, his promissory note. Ahem, at least it worked. Maybe I'm in disguise. Otherwise, with my identity, how could the IOU not work? Jiangchen comforted himself. Little did he know that he had never paid back the money he owed in the Six Realms. After a while, the fat man led Jiangchen into a small tea house in the black market. This was where the black market tycoons lived. No one dared to cause trouble here, but today it was a little different. When Jiangchen entered the small tea house, he saw a creature shrouded in a black fog sitting by the window of the tea house. Other than him, there was no one else in the tea house. Come to think of it, this person must be the third most powerful man in the black market. Hello, fellow Taoist. I am Jiangchen. People call me Ancestor Ao Tian. Jiangchen lied through his teeth. No one knew his identity anyway. However, the black fog on the third overlord's body fluctuated when he heard that. He then said coldly, "Those who call themselves Ancestor in front of me will not have a good ending." Hearing this, the fatty was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Even his face turned pale. He poked Jiangchen's shoulder and reminded him, "Speak properly." "Well, just tell me. I'll pay back the money I owe the black market, but give me 10 days. Jiangchen said straightforwardly, "I'll pay you back in 10 days with interest." "Why should I believe you?" The third tycoon said in a low voice. "Do you know how much money you owe the black market? That was not a small number. Can you gather it in 10 days? "Of course." Jiangchen patted his chest and promised. 10 days is enough. Jiangchen had already thought about it. Once he left the black market, he would borrow some money from others. At the very least, he would ask for some from the supreme heavenly palace. When the time came, he would be able to pay back the black market. However, the black market did not know Jiangchen's identity. At this moment, they would not believe Jiangchen. After all, if Jiangchen ran away, they would not be able to find him in a short period of time. "Why don't you stay and work for the black market?" The third tycoon said. "After 3 years, you will have cleared your debt." Hearing this, Jiangchen's face darkened. He glanced at the third big shot, then glanced at the fatty beside him. 10,000 alpacas were galloping through his heart. Not until then did Jiangchen realize that he had been tricked. Since the third tycoon said this, his meaning was obvious. The black market was not short of money, and they were not short of Jiangchen's money. What they wanted now was Jiangchen. Jiangchen was not stupid. After a few breaths, he stared at the third tycoon of the black market. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he said jokingly, "You should know my identity, right? Am I right? Little fellow, you are smart." The third tycoon nodded and said, "Disciple of the supreme heavenly palace, Jiangchen, right?" "Ah, since you know, you still would have forced me to stay?" Jiangchen asked. The black market was strong, but the supreme heavenly palace was not weak either. If they really made Jiangchen anxious, the supreme heavenly palace would not leave him alone. However, the third tycoon of the black market was not afraid at all. He chuckled and said, "It's not that I look down on the supreme heavenly palace, but ever since the black market was established, no matter who it is, no matter which force it is, no one has dared to behave atrociously here. The rules here are like the order of the great Tao. No one dares to break them." After saying that, the third tycoon of the black market suddenly stood up, and an extremely violent aura appeared. Under this aura, Jiangchen trembled all over, and his face turned even paler. There was even an oppressive feeling that came from the soul. This made Jiangchen extremely shocked. One must know that he had never felt this way, even when facing extraordinaires. "I am only the third tycoon of the black market. If you have seen my 2 sworn brothers, you will understand the power of the black market." The third tycoon quickly retracted this aura, as if he was worried that Jiangchen would not be able to take it. As for Jiangchen, he was very quiet and obedient at the moment. With a smile, he looked at the third tycoon and asked shamelessly, "If I work in the black market, am I considered a member of the black market?" "What do you mean?" The third tycoon was stunned for a moment and asked, "If someone wants to kill me, the black market can't just ignore me, right?" Jiangchen said jokingly. As soon as he said that, the black fog around the third tycoon fluctuated, as if he was very unhappy with Jiang Chen's words. Then, he pointed outside the tea house and said, "Who dares to kill in the black market? Even the heavenly court wouldn't dare." Boom! However, just as he said that, there was a sudden explosion at the entrance of the black market. Then, an old man with white hair and a youthful face rushed into the black market. As soon as he arrived, he raised a decree in the air and said coldly, "The black market sold information about the heavenly court, causing the heavenly court to lose a large number of top disciples. About this, the black market has to come out and give an explanation." Then, without waiting for anyone to react, the old man with white hair and a youthful face spoke again. "The methods of the heavenly court are not something that you people of the black market can think of. Today, not only will the black market have to give the heavenly court an explanation, but you will also have to hand over Jiang Chun." As soon as he said that, Jiang Chun, who was standing in the tea house, had a change in expression and his heart tensed up even more. He knew that the heavenly court must have used some method to find out that he was the one who killed the heavenly court's disciples. I'm willing to work for the black market. From now on, I'm a member of the black market." At this moment, Jiang Chun had no integrity to speak of. He even hid behind the third tycoon and said mockingly, "Boss, you said a second ago that the heavenly court wouldn't dare to come, but he came. It seems that the black market is nothing in the eyes of the heavenly court." Chapter 1255. Integrity? Face? In the face of life and death. What were these? Jiang Chun was able to live until now after his rebirth not because of his strength, but mainly because of his shamelessness and lack of integrity. Now, the third head of the black market was a little confused. He never thought that Jiang Chun was such a person. "You? How did the Supreme Heavenly Palace see you?" The third head was puzzled. "Boss, now is not the time to ask this question." Jiang Chun was a little anxious because the old man from the heavenly court was already walking over. Wherever he passed, people were thrown off their feet. Even the emperor found it difficult to stand. He was very strong and very calm. When his gaze passed by everyone, it was as if he was looking at ants and dust. The terrifying aura on his body was not inferior to Hong Yun's at all. The heavenly court has not appeared for a long time. It seems like they don't know who is in charge of the greater thousand world now. The third head of the black market whispered, a trace of contempt flashing in his eyes. However, although he said that, he did not make a move. "Boss, aren't you going to make a move? I'm now a worker of the black market. If I die, I won't be able to return the money I owe the black market." Jiang Chen's head was covered in cold sweat. He could feel the killing intent of the old man from the heavenly court. It was too terrifying. "Do you need me to make a move?" The third head curled his lips and waved his hand. He said to the fat man, "What are you waiting for? Go greet the guests." Yes, I'll go right away." The fat man wiped the cold sweat on his forehead with a strange expression. Then, the fat man walked out of the small tea house and came to the front of the old man from the heavenly court. He did not make a move and seemed to be secretly transmitting his voice. After a few breaths, the old man from the heavenly court's expression suddenly changed. Shock and fear appeared in his eyes. He bowed to the fat man and then left directly. Moreover, before leaving, he even put down a lot of rare treasures as an apology to the black market. Jiang Chun was really shocked by what he had seen. What was going on? When he came, he was so domineering and arrogant. In the end, he was scared away by the fat man before he even made a move. Was this fat man very strong? Or perhaps this fatty's true identity was extremely frightening? Youngsters these days are really hot-tempered. They even dare to come to the black market and cause trouble. After a few breaths of time, the fatty came back. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and bowed to the third head. "Boss, it's been taken care of. It's settled? You destroyed my black market's buildings, trespassed into my black market's territory, and even dared to spout such arrogant words. Do you think you're done after leaving behind some rare treasures?" Killing intent suddenly erupted from the third magnate's body. and this killing intent was actually targeted at Fatty. Plop! At this moment, the Fatty's face turned pale. As a supernatural being, he actually knelt on the spot. He kept kowtowing and begging. Boss, it's my fault. The Heavenly Court bought information about the black market from me, as well as information about Jiangshen. Don't think I don't know what you've done behind my back. If there's a next time, forget about you. Even the faction behind you will be annihilated, the third Titan said coldly. On the other hand, Jiangshen was astonished. He had never thought that the black market would be so chaotic. Back then, the person who sold Jiangshen the information about the Heavenly Court was this Fatty. However, who would have thought that this Fatty would sell Jiangshen out? He even sold the black market. Good fellow, you're really a businessman. I'm just a worker. I can't compare to a businessman like you, Jiangshen said with a wry smile. You have to work in the black market for 3 years. I'll let you go back now and take care of your funeral. Come back in 10 days. The third Titan handed a token to Jiangshen and said, with this token, you can enter all the major black market branches in the great wide world at will. This take care of my funeral? I'm working in the black market. Is my life in danger? Jiangshen was stunned for a moment. Why did he feel that the third Titan's words were strange? Do you think it's easy to work in the black market? The third Titan said snappily. You might die one day. After saying that, the third Titan waved his hand and said, hurry up and leave. Don't waste time. Okay. Jiangshen did not dare to say anything else. After nodding, he walked out of the black market. When he was about to reach the exit of the black market, Jiangshen glanced at the token in his hand. On it were the words, the strongest wage worker. Good fellow, you really think I'm a wage worker? Jiangshen's face darkened. Of course, he was unhappy. However, so what if he was unhappy? He did not dare to go against the black market. In the end, Jiangshen used the teleportation formation and rushed back. A day later, he returned to Tong Tian Garden. After coming back, Jiangshen went to look for Hong Yun and asked him about the black market. Hong Yun's expression was very serious. He warned Jiangshen that he would rather provoke the Heavenly Court than the black market. This was because the black market forces were too complicated. If you provoke the black market, you might provoke several top forces at once. According to rumors, the 3 Titans of the black market were all old monsters who had lived for countless years. Their cultivation was unfathomable. It was said that the strength of the black market's #1 Titan was only a piece of paper away from becoming an immortal. That is too late to say anything now. Jiangshen smiled bitterly. He showed Hong Yun the token of the strongest wage worker and said, I've provoked the black market now. When Hong Yun saw the token, his expression froze. His face was as black as ink, and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. He stared at Jiangshen. After a few breaths, he sighed and said, You've been cheated by the black market. What do you mean? Jiangshen asked. Perhaps the black market provided you with the information, and the elders in the Heavenly Court were all arranged by the black market. Hong Yun said in a low voice, The black market did this to get you to join them. They are snatching people from me and the supreme Heavenly Palace? Ah, am I that popular? Jiangshen was stunned. With the black market strength, as long as they opened their mouth, Jiangshen would definitely join them. Then why did the black market have to go through so much trouble to scheme against him? The person with the strongest wage workers token is directly under the 3 Titans. When the other upper echelons of the black market see you, they have to be courteous to you. Do you think this strongest wage workers token is ordinary? In fact, the weight of this token is enough to give even extraordinaires a headache. Hong Yun's face darkened. He said in a low voice, I really didn't expect the black market to snatch people from the supreme Heavenly Palace. Speaking of which, am I really that popular? Jiangshen asked proudly. What do you think? Hong Yun said angrily. 9 lives of reincarnation, 10 lives of return. Anyone who knows about your past wants to bet on you in this life. If the bet is right, not to mention this world, even the greater world will be theirs. Chapter 1256. Very few people knew about Jiangchun, but that didn't mean that no one knew. Those ancient cultivators who had lived for countless years and had witnessed the great turmoil and great darkness had all seen it. Some people firmly believed that Jiangchun could return for 10 lifetimes, while others thought that it was impossible. After all, if an accident happened during 10 lifetimes of reincarnation, this person would no longer exist. And those who believed in the return of 10 lifetimes would make two choices when they found out that Jiangchun was still alive and had reached 10 lifetimes. One was to help Jiangchun and bet on Jiangchun, betting that he could return for 10 lifetimes and unify the world. The other was to kill Jiangchun to prevent Jiangchun from returning. The Supreme Heavenly Palace and the Black Market were the former. They firmly believed that Jiangchun would return and were willing to bet on Jiangchun. However, unlike the Supreme Heavenly Palace, the Black Market wouldn't help Jiangchun unconditionally. At least before Jiangchun returned, they had to make Jiangchun pay something. At that time, even if Jiangchun died, he would have paid the price, and the Black Market wouldn't suffer a loss. The waters of the Black Market are very deep. Hong Yun had a strange expression as he looked at the strongest wage earner token in Jiangchun's hand, and the corners of his mouth twitched. He wondered whether the Black Market had plotted against Jiangchun this time, and whether they had also plotted against the Supreme Celestial Palace. Or perhaps, the Supreme Heavenly Palace had also interfered in the Black Market scheme this time. One had to know that the Black Market was too complicated. No one knew which forces the upper echelons of the Black Market came from, and no one knew the true identities of the three giants of the Black Market. Hong Yun was now thinking, could it be that one of the three giants of the Black Market was from the Supreme Heavenly Palace? If that was the case, then the waters of the Black Market were unfathomable. Then what should I do now? Jiangchun asked. Let's leave it to fate. Hong Yun said helplessly, my Supreme Heavenly Palace really does not wish to interfere in the matters of the Black Market. Unless you are in a life and death situation. Otherwise, the Black Market will not act against you. My Supreme Heavenly Palace also does not wish to provoke the Black Market. The Supreme Heavenly Palace is afraid of the Black Market? Jiangchun asked doubtfully. Although Jiangchun didn't know how deep the foundation of the Supreme Heavenly Palace was, he was sure that the Supreme Heavenly Palace wasn't afraid of the Heavenly Court, and they shouldn't be afraid of the Black Market either. It's not a matter of whether I'm afraid or not. It's just that the implications are too deep. Hong Yun sighed. This world is so complicated. It is precisely because it is so complicated that it is called the boundless world. After saying that, Hong Yun frowned as if he thought of something. He could not help but ask, when are you going to the Great Thousand Graveyard? The people from the Holy Sky Empire have been urging us to do so many times. Today, Jiangchun whispered. After that, I'll go back to the Black Market to work. Without waiting for Hong Yun to speak, Jiangchun asked, can I bring Beta Heike with me? That's your right. You can bring anyone, Hong Yun said. Jiangchun originally wanted to bring the three great deities with him, but he didn't know where they had gone. He couldn't find them for a while. Beta Heike had always been in Tongtian Garden. Although she wasn't an official disciple, he could at least find her. Moreover, the Pingtian clan had sacrificed too much for the Six Realms. As a member of the Six Realms, as long as they still had a conscience, they wouldn't leave Beta Heike behind. In the end, Jiangchun brought Beta Heike to the Great Thousand Graveyard under Hong Yun's escort. The so-called Great Thousand Graveyard was actually an interstellar ruin. It didn't belong to any world. It was an area formed by endless meteorite fragments and star fragments. However, looking from afar, the entire Great Thousand Graveyard seemed to be buried in an endless abyss. It was pitch black, and there was no trace of light. It was as if this place could devour everything. Even light couldn't escape. At this moment, Jiangchun, Beta Heike, and Hong Yun stood outside the Great Thousand Graveyard. Beside them were the Emperor of the Holy Sky Dynasty and the third Phoenix of the Holy Sky Dynasty. On the other side, there were many people from various sects and forces present. After all, entering the Great Thousand Graveyard was no small matter. Everyone wanted a piece of the pie. Jiangchun, As long as you're willing to bring someone from my clan in, you can name any condition you want. An elder from a large clan from the Western Star region said. The outside world was saying that the immortal herb had appeared in the Great Thousand Graveyard. Therefore, many clans and forces wanted to enter. Jiangchun, as long as you're willing to bring someone from my clan in, we'll give you these 3 divine herbs. We're willing to pay a high price, as long as you name your condition. At this moment, the elders of various clans, sects, and forces spoke one after another. They didn't beat around the bush. They were all openly plotting against Suke. Everyone, one bowl of soup isn't enough for so many people. Moreover, it's not certain if this soup is the stock or poison, Jiangchen said softly. He couldn't help but look at the emperor of the Holy Sky Dynasty from the corner of his eye. Previously, during the battle at the Star Region Academy, Jiangchen had a feeling that the Great Thousand Graveyard wasn't simple. Perhaps it was a trap. However, Jiangchen didn't have any evidence. My young friend Jiangchen, are you rejecting us? We all know that you're now a disciple of the Supreme Celestial Palace, but the Supreme Celestial Palace isn't invincible. Seeing that their plan didn't work, they simply began to threaten him. Jiangchen was really not afraid of threats now. Everyone's words. Can I take it that you're provoking the Supreme Celestial Palace? Hong Yun said immediately. His body seemed to have merged with the great Tao, giving off an ethereal feeling. At the same time, his aura was released, and a suffocating aura appeared. There were a few extraordinaries around. When they felt Hong Yun's aura, their bodies instantly tensed up, and their eyes were filled with shock and fear. As extraordinaries, they knew very well how terrifying Hong Yun's aura was. The Heavenly Court also wants to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard. Suddenly, a white fog rushed over from afar and turned into an old man with white hair and a youthful face. He had a Taoist child beside him, who was about the same age as Jiangchen. At this moment, he was sizing up Jiangchen with a trace of contempt in his eyes. "Oh, it's you?" When Jiangchen saw this old man with white hair and a youthful face, his face couldn't help but darken. Wasn't this old man the one who had been frightened by Fatty in the black market back then? He didn't expect this guy to be so arrogant in front of outsiders in the blink of an eye. However, thinking about it carefully, it made sense. The Heavenly Court had just appeared and was very famous. There weren't many forces that dared to go against the Heavenly Court. Old man, you were scared away by someone in the black market previously, and now you're showing off your power again? Jiangchen wasn't polite at all. Not only did he tease him, but he also deliberately exposed his scars. This old man's status and strength were obvious. Naturally, he couldn't tolerate Jiangchen talking about him like that. In an instant, his aura exploded, as if a ferocious beast had awakened. He looked at Jiangchen, and the great Tao principles condensed in his eyes, as if he was going to attack Jiangchen. However, at this moment, Jiangchen waved his hand from his waist, and a token fell to the ground. At the same time, Jiangchen exclaimed in surprise, "Ah, why did this token fall?" Chapter 1257. Everyone could see that Jiangchen was doing this on purpose. However, they did not expect that a token would be of any use at this time. However, when everyone saw the words on the command token, their expressions instantly changed. Even the old man from the Heavenly Court hastily retracted his hand. He stared at the token next to Jiangchen's feet in shock. On it were the words, "The strongest wage worker." "You joined the black market?" The elder from the Heavenly Court was shocked. When he looked at Jiangchen, his eyes were filled with fear. He was not the only one. When the others saw the token, their expressions became strange. Some were fearful, and some were confused. At this moment, Jiangchen slowly picked up the token on the ground and said sadly, "Sigh. I have no choice. I owe the black market a lot of money. I can't pay it back, so I can only work for the black market." When he said this, everyone's expressions became even more strange. "Are you F*** King pretending to be something?" One had to know that this token was something that many people dreamed of obtaining. Everyone, I won't keep you company, Jiangchen said with a smile. Then he beckoned Beta Heike to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard. However, at this moment, the Emperor of the Holy Heavens stepped forward and blocked Jiangchen's way. He pointed at Beta Heike and said coldly, "The Great Thousand Graveyard belongs to the Great Thousand World. What right does a living being from the Six Realms have to enter? The Holy Heaven Court is in charge of the Great Thousand Graveyard. I won't agree to this." Before Jiangchen could say anything, Beta Heike sighed. She was afraid that Jiangchen would be put in a difficult position. She sighed and said, "Forget it, I won't go in. If I let you in, you can enter." Jiangchen patted Beta Heike's shoulder. Then he looked at the Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court and said coldly, "What's wrong? Do you have a problem with this?" "Of course I do." The Shengtian dynasty's attitude was firm. They pointed at Beta Heike's nose and said, "The Great Thousand Graveyard belongs to the Great Thousand World. Everything inside belongs to the Great Thousand World. As someone from the Six Realms, he naturally can't enter. What if I insist on letting him in?" Jiangchen's face gradually turned gloomy, and he pointed at himself and said, "I'm also from the Six Realms." In fact, many people knew that Jiangchen was indeed from the Six Realms. However, Jiangchen now had so many forces supporting him, and many people would not fall out with him just because of Jiangchen's identity. However, since Jiangchen had said it out loud, it had a different meaning. Since you're also from the Six Realms, then you're not qualified to enter the Kiliakazam Quarry. These are the rules. The Heavenly Emperor said coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. This made Jiangchen very confused. This was obviously different from the Emperor of the Holy Heaven that he had met at the Star Region Academy battle. At this moment, the Emperor of the Holy Heaven's attitude was firm, and he even wanted to kill Jiangchen. What rules? The rules set by the Holy Heaven Court? Jiangchen's expression turned serious. Before he could finish speaking, Hong Yun had already come to his side. This was because the Emperor of the Holy Heaven's murderous intent was too strong. Even those standing far away could feel it. Hong Yun was worried about Jiangchen, so he walked over and looked at the Emperor of the Holy Heaven angrily. He said coldly, "Is the Holy Heaven Court arrogant? I'm just speaking the truth. If you're not from the Great Thousand World, you can't enter the Great Thousand Graveyard." The Emperor of the Holy Heaven's attitude was still firm and unyielding. This caused the surrounding people to be confused. Was the Holy Sky Empire really that strong? They dared to openly go against the Supreme Heavenly Palace? The Great Thousand Graveyard doesn't belong to the Holy Heaven Court. The rules set by the Holy Heaven Court are not recognized by us. Hong Yun's aura surged. When he opened his eyes, it was as though the universe had turned upside down. He stretched out a finger and pointed in front of the Emperor of the Holy Heaven. He said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense. If you don't agree, then let's fight. Don't think that the Supreme Heavenly Palace is strong. The Holy Heaven Court naturally has its reasons for being able to dominate the Central Star region." The Emperor of the Holy Heaven did not retreat. After he spoke, the void in the distance suddenly split open, and 3 men in dragon robes walked out. The 3 of them quickly came to the Emperor of the Holy Heaven's side, but they did not speak. They just looked at Hong Yun quietly. The most surprising thing was that the 3 of them looked exactly the same as the Emperor of the Holy Heaven. "Today, if you want to fight, the Holy Heaven Court will accompany you to the end." The Holy Sky Royal Lord squinted his eyes and pointed at the 3 people beside him. He said, "If you force me to merge with 3 Tao gods, even the 3rd ancestor of the Supreme Heaven Palace might not be my match." When the Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court said this, everyone was shocked. Even Hong Yun was taken aback. Could the rumors be true? The Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court split a portion of his cultivation and turned it into 3 avatars? If the 3 avatars merge with the original body, he will return to his peak state and be only half a step away from becoming an immortal. I've heard of it before, but I thought it was just a rumor. Now it seems like the Holy Heaven Court has its reasons for being able to dominate the Central Star region. Many people exclaimed. Some people even guessed what level the Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court's cultivation would reach if he merged three Tao gods. Could he really be half a step away from becoming an immortal? The Star Region Academy battle has ended, and the winner has been decided. Now you're using this as an excuse to prevent Jiang Chun from entering the Great Thousand Graveyard. Hong Yun said softly and looked at the Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court with disdain. It seems like the Star Region Academy battle is just a decoration to the Holy Heaven Court. No matter who wins, the Holy Heaven Court will still not allow others to enter the Great Thousand Graveyard. When the Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court heard this, he nodded and raised his eyebrows. With a provocative look, he said, "Yes, so what? The Great Thousand Graveyard is controlled by the Holy Heaven Court. Why should we let others in?" "Old man, if you don't let me in, I'll go in." Jiang Chun stood behind Hong Yun and shouted angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chun turned around and grabbed Beta Heiki's hand and walked toward the Great Thousand Graveyard. "How dare you?" The Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court shouted angrily. He stretched out his palm, and his palm print bypassed Hong Yun and went straight for Jiang Chun. Boom! In the next moment, there was a sudden explosion. A living being shrouded in black fog had appeared beside Jiang Chun. With a flick of his finger, he shattered the Emperor of the Holy Heaven Court's palm print. Then, an extremely terrifying aura exploded. Do you really not know what the Black Market Workers token means? The living being shrouded in black fog shouted angrily. Are you saying that the three leaders of the black market are just decorations in your eyes? Chapter 1258. The third most powerful man in the black market had just given Jiang Chun the most powerful wage worker token, and now someone wanted to attack Jiang Chun. This was a blatant provocation to the third most powerful man in the black market, and even the other two most powerful men. The most powerful wage worker token meant that Jiang Chun was directly under the three most powerful men in the black market. In other words, Jiang Chun was now under the protection of the three most powerful men in the black market. How powerful was the Holy Sky Empire? Could they go against the black market? The third most powerful man in the black market. At that moment, the Holy Sky Emperor's face darkened. He had expected the third most powerful man in the black market to come. After all, Jiang Chun had just received the most powerful wage worker token, and he could not leave Jiang Chun alone. However, he had not expected the third most powerful man in the black market to come so quickly. In other words, he had been waiting for the Holy Sky Emperor from the very beginning. However, the Holy Sky Emperor was not afraid of the third most powerful man in the black market. He even merged his three Taoist bodies, and it looked like he was about to attack. What's going on? The Holy Sky Emperor's strength can go against the third most powerful man in the black market? After merging his three Taoist bodies, the Holy Sky Emperor's strength is really hard to say. Many people were shocked. Few people dared to go against the black market, especially the three most powerful men in the black market. They were like legends. Even the Heavenly Court had to be careful in front of the three most powerful men in the black market. However, the Holy Sky Emperor was about to attack. The third most powerful man in the black market was stunned. His eyes shone brightly, and Taoist chi swirled around him as he sized up the Holy Sky Emperor. After a few breaths, he slowly opened his mouth and said, "Let's fight." Everyone knows that the three most powerful men in the black market and the Heavenly Court are powerful, but they don't know the power of the Holy Sky. After today's battle, I will let everyone in the Great Thousand World know that the power of the Holy Heavens is not inferior to any of you. The Holy Sky Royal Lord said coldly as he raised his eyebrows. After today's battle, I will let everyone in the Great Thousand World know that the power of the Holy Heavens is not inferior to any of you. Boom! With that, the leader of the Holy Sky sect attacked. His palm was like a meteor that pressed down on the third figure. In an instant, Hong Yun brought Jiang Chun and Beta Heike away from this place. At the same time, the third head pushed his hands forward and pulled the Holy Sky Emperor into the void. If a battle between extraordinaires took place in the modern world, this world and even the nearby worlds would be implicated and even destroyed. They had no choice but to fight in the void. Otherwise, this star field would be plunged into misery and suffering. Boom! Next, the crowd heard a series of explosions in the endless void, as well as angry roars from both sides. The radiance overflowed from the void along with the great Tao laws and order. It was as if a rainbow-colored divine light was shining. This battle was very intense, but not many people could see it clearly. After all, only extraordinaires could watch a battle between extraordinaires. Who's stronger? Jiang Chun stood beside Hong Yun and asked curiously. A draw. Hong Yun's face turned ugly as he growled. We've underestimated the strength of the holy heavens. There's a reason why the holy heavens can monopolize the central star field. What? Even the third head of the black market can't do anything to the holy heavens? Jiang Chun was shocked. In Jiang Chun's mind, the third head of the black market was extremely powerful. He was an old monster who had lived for countless years. His cultivation was unfathomable, and his skills were unfathomable. However, he was now on par with the leader of the holy heavens. This battle won't end so quickly. You should enter the Great Thousand Quarry first. Hong Yun said, there must be a reason why the holy heavens is making things difficult for you and doesn't want you to enter the Great Thousand Quarry. You mean, the rumor is true? The elixir of immortality has really appeared in the Great Thousand Quarry? Jiang Chun asked, but he was disappointed. Jiang Chun was not interested in the elixir of immortality. He only wanted to enter the Great Thousand Quarry for the Sword Principle Flower. Only the Sword Principle Flower could allow the greedy ghost to transform and surpass the Great Tao and release the Nine Heavens. Without the Sword Principle Flower, the Nine Heavens would be trapped in the greedy ghost forever. No one knew how long it would take for it to be released. Senior Hong Yun, things have come to this point. Do you think it's possible for him to enter the Great Thousand Quarry safely? Suddenly, the elder from the heavenly court walked over again. His hair and beard were white, and his body was surrounded by the Great Tao. He looked at Hong Yun, but he didn't attack. Instead, he pointed at the Taoist child who had come with him. He said, there's no need for us to do anything, but I don't feel comfortable letting Jiang Chun enter the thousand-mine burial ground so easily. Just say it, Hong Yun said in a deep voice. He scanned the surroundings from the corner of his eye and discovered that several extraordinaires were also itching to make a move. At this moment, Hong Yun knew that it would be very difficult for Jiang Chun to enter the Great Thousand Quarry today. The Great Thousand Quarry has a special order. Extraordinaires can't enter it. The elder from the heavenly court said, so, only the juniors can enter. As for us, as seniors, shouldn't we give our juniors a chance? Don't talk nonsense. Just say it. Hong Yun's eyes flashed coldly. If it weren't for the fact that there were many extraordinaires around and he was worried about Jiang Chun's safety, he would have slapped him. Then let's do it according to the most basic law of this world. The elder from the heavenly court said, the strong are respected. If he's strong enough to defeat my disciple, then the heavenly court will not interfere in this matter. If he loses, then the token to enter the Great Thousand Quarry will be given to my disciple. Hearing this, before Hong Yun could speak, and before Jiang Chun could agree, the disciple brought by the elder from the heavenly court stepped forward and cupped his hands to Jiang Chun. He said provocatively, please enlighten me. Who do you think you are? You want to fight, so I have to accompany you? Jiang Chun raised his chin and looked at the cultivation of the upper emperor. He was really unhappy. Although Jiang Chun was arrogant, he was not ignorant. How weak could a disciple taught by an extraordinaire from the heavenly court be? Moreover, his cultivation was much higher than Jiang Chun's. If they fought, Jiang Chun was not confident that he could defeat the other party. Does the heavenly court have any shame? Hong Yun's face was gloomy. Jiang Chun is only a divine king. But you want an emperor to fight with him? The Supreme Heavenly Palace only produces Supremes. Since he's a Supremes, Jiang Chun should have the strength to fight with an emperor. The elder from the Heavenly Court chuckled. Why? Could it be that Jiang Chen's strength was all bragging? As a supreme divine king, he can't fight with an emperor? It seems that the disciples of the Supreme Heavenly Palace are just like that. Forget it, I'll give you this token. Suddenly, Jiang Chen's expression became strange. He threw the token to enter the great thousand quarry to the elder from the Heavenly Court, but then asked, if someone defeats your disciple, then this token, should you give it to the winner? Of course, so many people are watching. The elder from the Heavenly Court said seriously, the strong are respected, and the winner is king. Only the winner is qualified to hold this token and enter the great thousand quarry. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.